Completely on getting Liverpool back on winning ways.
On that, Slot says he would change his playing style in order to achieve it despite going against his beliefs.
I've won games in the past, so we're talking about City away. That went maybe against my beliefs, but it was necessary to play it over there like that in the second half. So I would be more than open to adapt in certain situations.
It's also confirmed Alisson and Isak are still out injured, but Ryan Gravenberch is being assessed today. Liverpool host Villa tomorrow night live on talkSPORT, with the champions hoping to avoid a fifth league defeat on the spin. Elsewhere this lunchtime, Joshua Zirkzee could be off to Roma. talkSPORT understands initial talks have taken place about a loan as the Dutchman actively looks for a move to improve his World Cup hopes. William Saliba is still a doubt for Arsenal's trip to Burnley tomorrow. Meanwhile, down in East London, Lucas Paquetá has been warned by the FA. He was cleared of spot fixing back in July and has now escaped with a slap on the wrist. That's for not fully complying with the investigation. And John Terry's been in touch after Jamie O'Hara said Spurs were bigger than Chelsea's globally.
What on earth is he on about this morning, O'Hara? Even using those two words together, Spurs and globally, should never be in the same sentence ever again. Mate, they're still doing their pre-season tours around North London. Absolutely ridiculous.
And as always, there's plenty more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Prince Andrew has been officially taken off the list of royals, and it's claimed around 40% of inmates in England and Wales can easily get hold of drugs. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This winter, treat yourself to the Bridgestone Turanza All-Season 6 tyres with a 20,000 tyre mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
We're expecting an afternoon of sunny spells and blustery showers across the UK, with the heaviest rain in the west. Mild temperatures are also expected.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, Andy, please tell us what's coming up.
Coming up over the next 3 hours, Stan Collymore previews the Premier League weekend. I can hardly wait. We'll chat to the top boxing ring announcer who fought Stone Cold Steve Austin.
No, he fought Steve Austin before he was Stone Cold.
Oh, I see.
That's the whole point of the line.
Oh, I can get it. And former Leeds and Rangers striker Kemar Roofe talks us through his interesting new business venture.
He does, that's right. We're also got more of Andy's nonsense by numbers.
Up to 200.
Fantastic. I've got bad news on that front, but anyway. And former F1 mechanic Mark Elvis Priestley pops into the studio.
It's all this plus the clips of the week, the Falls panel, and Ravens' no ping-pong policy pays off in Todd Macklin.
Yeah.
American Sports Roundup.
The Ravens have got a no ping-pong policy, and it paid off.
Well, he's going to be beside himself with excitement today.
Todd.
Toronto are on the brink.
I know. Blue Jays could win the World Series.
Tonight.
We'll talk about that, all manner of other stuff with Todd Macklin later on. What's the time? 4 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy.
Good afternoon, Paul. Good afternoon, everybody. My favourite moment of the week, possibly my favourite moment of the year so far, was in the India women's cricket semi-final between India and Australia.
Yeah.
When Alicia Healy, the wicketkeeper, dropped catch that basically cost them the match. It was what a delightful moment.
Bit of schadenfreude at that. Me and Charlie were watching it unfold, that game, and the Aussies kind of put up about 340 odd.
Yeah, they thought they'd won.
We thought that was done and dusted. They were all smiles in the interval. They couldn't. They were beaming.
I know.
And then Charlie and I were saying, "Oh, they're doing all right, India. They're getting a bit of a score on here," and so it proved.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, well done to them.
Very good
so
stuff.
2 teams that England beat. South Africa and India in the final.
Yeah, that's a bit depressing. Really.
Often the way it works, isn't it?
Bit annoying, but what can you do? I've got this one here.
Shall I make an admission?
Yeah, go on.
We do Andy's nonsense by numbers, right? And it could lead to a cool subject. So what Andy does, he handwrites me a sheet of paper with all the ones that are still relevant.
Yeah.
And he's got how many? 100 and what?
100 and no, it's 200 up to 200
so
now. Less the ones who we've already done.
It is quite labour intensive for him to do all that.
Yeah.
I get given quite a lot of paper during the show, bits of paper.
You do get a lot of paper.
I get a lot of paper.
You do.
And so, Andy, I'm sorry to say for the second time, I've thrown it away. By accident. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to stick it you're probably going to tell me to stick it. I'm going to stick it somewhere where I cannot throw it away. I promise. Next time, Andy. So
it's all right. Sometimes I've got to update it anyway.
Fair enough. Okay. What did you throw away? Let's ask the listener. It is Friday. Bit thin on the ground. The great important things you managed to throw away. Did you salvage them? Did you get them out the bin? Remember that bloke a little while ago who was going around every landfill site within about a 20-mile radius because he had all his Bitcoin on a hard drive.
Oh, blimey, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if he ever found it. He's gone a bit quiet, isn't he? Really. I'd like to think he did.
Well, maybe he did. I didn't see it. Anyway,
talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J 03717 223344. Anyway.
Congratulations to Rachel Farrington of Hay on Wye.
Oh, yeah, congratulations. What's she done?
She won the speed soaring record, the world speed soaring record.
Yeah.
Her 8.82 second time was faster than the old record.
What was the old record? Do you know?
9.8.
Like I care.
Yeah. I don't either. I always thought they're lumberjacks, but if you're a woman, you're a lumberjill. Did you know that?
I never knew. No.
It says here, a British lumberjill has logged a speed soaring record. So I learned something this week.
She's a lumberjill and she's okay.
Basically, yeah.
That's great. I never knew that at all, Andy. That's great. That's I've learned something today. I didn't expect to come in and learn anything from you today, but I have. So thank you very much.
And VW are celebrating the Touareg SUV's last year of production.
Oh, mine of information. Yeah,
well, as John Conte would say, Touareg.
It's very in.
Very in.
That's very in, isn't it? It's John Conte chatting to Reg Guttridge, kind of.
Touareg.
Yeah, Touareg, yeah.
What can you do? I know.
And he gets these things that he can't get out of his head.
I know. I was watching Kieran McKenna. It was very funny.
Yeah. I can make Kieran McKenna's new book. I can make you manage Celtic.
It's so obvious he's in line for the job, and he's sort of saying, "Oh no, I'm very happy here." And you're just looking at him thinking, "You're going to do this job. If they offer you the job, you're going to take it, aren't you?"
It's a very difficult job to turn down, isn't it?
It is.
Massive club, you know.
Yeah. And it's hard at Ipswich. It's a limit to his ambitions in a sense.
Well, he's taken them to the top table. And it didn't quite work.
Exactly. What can you do? Star Texters, our old friends, are totally obsessed with who succeeds. I mean, I don't know why they are. Who succeeds Tess and Claudia on Strictly?
Oh, yeah.
This is like
Have you put your name in the hat?
I haven't actually, no, because I've got no chance whatsoever.
Okay. Well, look, Dave, you got to be positive in life.
Can't even present on TalkSPORT.
No, that's true. You couldn't even read those 4 words I wrote down for you at the top. What he actually said was, we're going to speak to the boxing ring announcer who fought Steve Austin before he was stone cold. The point I was making was Steve Austin in his early days before he was stone cold.
Yeah.
And then you completely butchered it.
I know, well, I always do.
Yeah.
Anyway, Harry John wrote to the Star.
The man with 2 first names.
Mel and Sue would be good, or even Fern Cotton with Zoe Ball, 2 very popular celebrities.
Is he a commissioning editor of some kind?
Melanie Sykes would be awesome too, with Denise Van Outen. Or failing that, Zig and Zag with Denise and Melanie. Joking aside, I didn't realise he was.
No.
The Beeb have the ideal recipe in a female presenter formula that doesn't need revising. Keira Knightley has a lovely smile. So too has Michelle from Corrie. Oh, yeah, Michelle. She's not going to do that, is she, Michelle Keegan? She's just about to crack Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Some might say...
You're like a showbiz reporter, Andy.
No.
Your spies are telling you that Michelle Keegan's about
Anyway,
to...
he ends it saying, I wish Des O'Connor was still with us. Imagine Mel and Des on Strictly. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
What's the point, mate?
Just some of the people. No one from the world of sport's been mentioned, have they?
No. Well, Sue Barker would be good. All right.
Can you see that?
Not really, no. All right, to start with that one.
Okay, fair enough.
And a lovely tabloid thesaurus on Mr. Blobby making a comeback.
Is he?
Spot the latest 1990s favourite who's making a comeback. It's Porky Prink.
See what I mean?
Porky.
You couldn't read an auto cue live,
Not
could
really,
you?
No, absolutely not. I can make that noise that Tess makes in between.
Yeah, you've always had this obsession. You think you're going to miss it. So in what context does she do it?
Well, what happens is...
You are listening to Talk Sport, by the way.
Basically, the dance finishes, the crowd very excited, the crowd on a live show, and they're very, very excited, and they start giving them a standing ovation. And, of course, they're time under a lot of time pressure. So... Tess has kind of got to get them over and still sort of make noise and keep you interested at home. So she can't really say, well, come over here.
Right.
So she just sort of makes this noise. She goes, ah! You'll hear it, and it's incredible.
Wow. I've not noticed.
Oh, you listen. Once you know,
a bit like
you know about it, you can't not hear it.
It is a touch Tarzan, and it almost like she's falling off a cliff.
It's a bit like that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, thank you, Andy. Thank you very much.
Yeah. I don't know if that's why she's giving it up.
No, I wouldn't think so. I don't think that's at the root of it.
Anyway,
yes,
it's Porky Pink Prankster, Mr. Blobby.
Yeah.
The jiggly-eyed comic character.
You are.
I know.
Yeah.
Known for causing chaos amongst celebs while shouting "Blobby, Blobby."
Yeah.
Tremendous.
We were easily pleased back in the 90s, weren't we?
Even happen? Has found a new generation of fans thanks to his online clips of his antics.
Right.
Really?
Great. Well, give that a miss. So, coming up then, Andrew McKenna joins us. The autumn internationals are almost upon us.
Yeah,
and we're going to look at some of the games. We got Ireland over in Chicago, haven't we? It's playing the All Blacks.
It's all a bit old, isn't it? Really?
Well, I mean,
it's a sellout. So
so it's 60-odd thousand people. I think they've played there before. Anyway, Mackerel fill us in on all that. We're here from Steve Borthwick, the England coach. Neil Manthorpe and Steve Harmison are going to join us. Talk a bit of Ashes, but also they're just about to do their 260th Cricket Collective show, their podcast. They've not missed a week, their producer was telling me. They always make it work. I mean, from any far-flung corner of the world, wherever they are, they get together and do their cricket podcast. We've had Manners on a cruise ship and Lord knows where else just to get it done. So they've not missed an episode, 260 weeks. So we'll be chatting to the boys a little bit later on, looking at all the big cricket stories, touching on the final of the Women's World Cup. We are going to hear from a ring announcer who will be working tomorrow night in the big fight that we're bringing you here on talkSPORT, Barazzi versus Parker. He was a wrestler in his youth.
Parker? Wasn't Parker last?
No, not Zach Parker's a different Parker, isn't it? Am I going mad? Is that right? Or is it? I thought he was. Maybe not.
I don't know.
Anyway, it's Joshua versus Zach because I'm on first name terms with him. So, but he fought Stone Cold Steve Austin before he was Stone Cold. You get the idea with that. Yeah. Stan Collymore joins us. We'll have some clips of the week for you, and we'll hear from the gaffers ahead of the weekend's football. So that and a whole lot more besides. What did you manage to throw away? I once accidentally threw away my daughter's first loose tooth.
Oh, dear.
Down the bathroom plug hole.
No, you're right. Sorry, Zach Parker. It
is Zach Parker. Yeah, I thought you were getting me down to myself. She was that excited about the tooth fairy coming that I had to remove the U-bend and dig it out. Well, that's what you have to do as a mum or a dad when you do something like that, I guess. I eventually found it. Thought I'd give it a rinse, not realising I hadn't put the bend back on. Oh no. Oh, fantastic. No. Angry Mrs. says David, the Burnley fan on the Isle of Man.
Not ideal.
What's the going rate for a tooth fairy now? Do you know, I've asked this question before. It used to be about sixpence when I was a kid, or I think it may have...
I think it'd be a £2.
Might have gone up to... I mean, I was quite surprised last time we asked this. Going rate for the tooth fairy then, folks. Let us know. Talksport.com, text 1889, tweet to TSH&J. I once borrowed my girlfriend's car, and her dad was picking her up from my house, picking up from my house to do some repairs. I was leaving for work early in the morning, so needed to hide keys outside somewhere for him. Only place that came to mind was to put them inside my rubbish bin, not realising it was bin day.
Oh, for goodness.
So by the time he came to get the keys, the bin men had come and gone. It's a disaster.
That is ridiculous.
What did you manage to... This is a much richer scene than I imagined. Talksport.com, text 1889, tweet TSH and J. Andrew McKenna, one of our top team on rugby, joins us next. We'll preview the autumn internationals and lots more besides. Of course, we are here with our very good friends at Tool Station. Pick up your wet weather essentials today. Next stop, Tool Station.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it! Oh!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How do you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Yeah, our producer did a little cameo. She nearly got there. Anyway, it is time to look ahead to the weekend's autumn international action with Funding Circle.
Autumn Internationals preview on talkSPORT with Funding Circle. Business finance that backs you. Find out more at fundingcircle.com.
There's some interesting fixtures in some far-flung corners of the world. We'll kick off talking England. They're safely at Twickenham. Alfie Reynolds, one of our top team on rugby, caught up with the England head coach Steve Borthwick and talked about his thinking behind the squad selection for the game against Australia.
It's an exciting squad, and I think that the England supporters will see this and be excited about coming to Allianz Stadium on Saturday to cheer this team on. I think you're a group that is ready to start, and I want them playing fast, aggressive rugby, and then I think you've got some excellent players on the bench coming on. And I think in terms of selections, each one is a selection you think through and talk through with the coaching team about what the right blend is, looking at the players and how they've started the season, the minutes they've had, all these different factors come into play around selection.
There's Steve Borthwick, the England coach, joining us now to go through the fixtures. Andrew McKenna. Good afternoon, Macca.
Good afternoon, boys. Good to see you, and good to see Georgia as well in the studio.
Oh, yeah, it's great. It was a lovely little cameo, I felt.
Yeah, nice to see the former programme director sitting between you as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
Yeah, that's it. Been on the jabs, clearly. Probably too many jabs. So, let's talk about England first. I was reading a bit with Toby Flood in the Metro newspaper today. And the headline is, what a difference a year makes. Now tide has turned for England. And reading Toby's piece, there is a feeling, there is a different mood around the England setup as we head into these autumn internationals, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. They had a really impressive summer. While the Lions tour was going on, England were down in Argentina for 2 test matches and then stopped off in the USA on the way home and played really well in all of them. And a lot of guys who got some game time there maybe wouldn't have if some of the Lions players weren't away. So as a result, it makes you realise the strength and the depth of the squad and the quality as well. And as a result, Steve Borthwick's kind of rolled the dice a little bit with some of his selections this weekend. As he was just saying, it's certainly a selection that's going to raise some eyebrows, people going to the Allianz Stadium this weekend. Brave, I don't know how we'd frame it, but it's certainly not the risk-averse Steve Borthwick that we maybe had a couple of years back.
It's an odd one because we've got both codes, England, Australia, tomorrow. I mean, what sort of nick are the Australians in currently, Macca, heading into this game?
Well, they've certainly improved. As we saw on the Lions tour, they got better each week that went on. They carried that on into the recent Rugby Championship, which is the tournament that New Zealand, South Africa, Australia and Argentina all play. One thing I would say, and you need to bear this in mind, one of the stars for Australia in the Lions tour, Len Ikitau, Will Skelton, are not available this weekend because this fixture falls outside the approved World Rugby window for the autumn games, and therefore the clubs don't have to release them. Now, Len Ikitau is playing for the Exeter Chiefs. They don't have a league game this week. They've got a Premiership Rugby Cup game, which is basically a development competition. But because they're not being paid to release the player, they're not releasing the player. So as a result, it's not quite the first team, but it's not a million miles off it for Australia. So I think it'll be a really good game.
Because these games have an extra significance. I didn't realise this. They're ranking points for the World Cup, aren't they, at stake?
Yeah, so we've done these games for years, but the problem with them has always been, so England have beaten Australia this weekend. They've got Fiji next weekend. What does it mean? Absolutely nothing. It's just 4 random standalone fixtures. So what World Rugby have tried to do is make the November window a ranking window, and then also the summer tours, so when the teams go on tour in June, that will also carry points, and therefore it gives them some context. It's just not random standalone fixtures, which, although unfortunately people will still view them as, the idea is to take it on and go forward.
Yeah, some interesting fixtures and set in interesting places. We'll come on to Chicago next, but Wembley for South Africa, Japan. We had a chat with Eddie Jones a couple of weeks ago about this. We also asked him about whether can sometimes be a bit of a hangover in a Lions year in the autumn internationals. That can happen, can't it?
It can do. You hope that it doesn't, but you never really know, of course. So, look, you've got players who, first of all, have been rested. So it's mandatory that the Lions players get 10 weeks rest after the end of the tour. So they've only resumed playing in the last couple of rounds of the Premiership anyway. So they should hopefully be fresh, firing and ready to go. But also, just for the reasons we were talking about England and Argentina, the other nations were also away in the summer. And players have seen other people get their shirts. You know, there was a big discussion, would George Ford get the number 10 shirt for England this weekend? Because he had it in the summer in Argentina, but Finn Smith had it in the Six Nations. Now, it was no fault of Finn Smith that he wasn't available to play for England because he was with the Lions. So you've got a lot of players now jostling for positions to, if you like, regain their own shirt.
I saw Andy Farrell pushing back on the idea that they're a bit undercooked going into this game in Chicago against the All Blacks. But as you said, it's because like half a dozen of the players have barely played because they had to have that 10 weeks after the Lions. But this is an interesting fixture, isn't it? We said big Irish population in Chicago, and it 60-odd thousand tickets they've sold, so it's a sellout.
Absolutely. It's sort of a halfway house, if you like, isn't it? If New Zealand are coming up to Europe, they either need to go via the Asian route or via the USA. So it's a handy little stop off. One of their big sponsors is based in North America. So it's no real surprise that they're playing there once again. And look, it's a way of ramping it up. Of course, Ireland won that game a few years ago. There's been a lot of, let's just say, a lot of discussion between the two sides. There was the whole Rico Ioane, Johnny Sexton stuff and all of that going off in recent years. So this is going to need no stirring up whatsoever, although that's probably not going to stop a few people trying.
And we got the USA playing at Murrayfield against Scotland. But what can we expect from the US team then, Macca?
Unfortunately, probably not as much as their women's team. Their women's team is probably in better nick than their men's team. Unfortunately, if you look at the team sheet for the USA team, the club unattached is very well represented, right. which is a bit of a concern. The North American League has had a few bumps in the road in recent years. It is improving, but it's not where it needs to be. Scotland will be hoping that they get a good run out in this one and sets them up and running because they've got New Zealand next weekend at Murrayfield. So this, if you like, is the one to blow away a few cobwebs to get yourself ready for the Kiwis.
Good stuff, Macca. A pleasure as always. We'll catch up with you soon. Thanks very much.
All the best, boys.
There we are. We'll keep you in touch with all those games tomorrow here on talkSPORT. We'll be around the grounds, of course, with Adrian Durham. There's no early kick-off tomorrow. Our Premier League coverage is the evening match, isn't it, between Liverpool and Aston Villa. We've got plenty of Championship football for you, though. Wrexham, Cov,
really becoming
Leicester, Blackburn.
What's
that, the 8 o'clock?
Saturday night football.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So object to it.
I'm not a fan. I've got to be honest. And I know you're not, Andy, but I don't know, maybe the listeners are. Do you quite like a Saturday evening, 8 o'clock? I just think, depending on the fixture it is, if it was that, I mean, hopefully they won't choose games that could be an issue because on a Saturday, you're kicking off at 8 o'clock. I imagine there's quite a lot of people that make a day of it.
Yeah.
And that can bring its own problems, can't it? Depending if it's a high-risk fixture.
It's a big game for Liverpool. It's not,
no, it is. It is. Absolutely.
It's just the principle of it, I just don't like the idea.
Going rate for the tooth fairy in our house is £5. Luckily, my daughter's last two have come out while at her grandma's and while in Spain. So she was paid in euros. Fantastic. Well done, Richard. You got away with that one. Over the summer, we stayed in a holiday let and I had to take you had to take your rubbish with you. Unknowingly, my teenage daughter had all her dirty washing in a black bag in the back of the car. We got home late and I was instructed to empty the car. 2 weeks later, my daughter started questioning where all her favourite tops were.
Oh, dear.
I think it cost me over £400 to replace them.
Oh, no.
I threw away Andy's news and nonsense notes for the second time. I do get handed lots of bits of paper during the show. That's my excuse. So, what did you throw away? We're getting some corkers. And the going rate for the tooth fairy, the hard-hitting sports news agenda we're looking for today. talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J, 03717223344. But for now, that was our look ahead to this weekend's Autumn Internationals with our good friends at Funding Circle. Still to come, Kemar Roofe joining us for a chat. We'll talk a bit of Leeds, some Rangers, and life after football. He's got an interesting idea that he's working on. So we'll chat to Kemar in a few moments' time.
Autumn Internationals preview on talkSPORT with Funding Circle. We make your finance goals our business. Find out more at fundingcircle.com.
Arne Slot says his only focus is getting back to winning ways for Liverpool and has batted back any suggestions of a new deal.
This is the last question I was expecting. I think my focus should be completely on getting Liverpool back on winning ways.
And despite it being against his beliefs, Slot would tweak his playing style to get results.
I've won games in the past, so we're talking about City away. It was necessary to play it over there like that in the second half. So I would be more than open to adapt in certain situations.
The Liverpool boss has also confirmed Alisson and Isak are still out injured, but Ryan Gravenberch is being assessed today. They host Villa tomorrow night live on talkSPORT, with the champions hoping to avoid a fifth league defeat on the spin. Elsewhere, the FA has warned Lucas Paquetá. The West Ham midfielder was cleared of 4 spot-fixing charges back in July. He's now escaped with a slap on the wrist for not fully complying with that investigation. And John Terry has been in touch after Jamie O'Hara said Spurs were bigger than Chelsea globally.
What on earth is he on about this morning, O'Hara? Even using those 2 words together, Spurs and globally, should never be in the same sentence ever again. Absolutely ridiculous.
And there's plenty more at talksport.com.
Yes, good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here, and we're with you through until 4 o'clock. We'll be chatting to Stan Collymore a little bit later on. Joining us now, though, to talk about life after football, a very interesting idea and business venture, is the former Leeds and Rangers frontman, Kemar Roofe. Good afternoon, Kemar.
Good afternoon, you okay?
Yeah, we're good.
Thanks.
I read a little piece about you the other week, and I thought it'd be nice to sort of have a conversation about it. These are your two halves player journals. Tell us a bit more about them.
Yes, it is. But sorry, can I just correct you?
Yeah,
I'm still playing.
Oh,
don't try and end my career.
Sorry, I don't want to do that. Sorry,
He does that to me every day.
I'm trying to end Andy's career. I've been doing it for 10 years. Where are you playing at the moment?
So I'm currently training with Walsall at the moment to keep my fitness up, and then we'll see what happens. Obviously, Walsall's my hometown club as well.
Right. Okay. Have you been doing some stuff through the sort of PFA trials or not? No.
No, I didn't, because before that I was with Derby doing a pre-season with Derby, and then I've transitioned to Walsall now.
Okay. Well, look, we wish you well getting back in.
Thank you.
Still very much playing. If there's any chairman out there and managers there, we should let people know that. So tell us a bit about the Two Halves Player Journal and how it all came about.
Yeah, so when I was out of contract last season, obviously I had a lot of time on my hands, and for me, if I overthink things, it beats me up inside my head, and I doubt myself, and it's not enjoyable anymore. So to keep distracted, I thought of this journal, because I've been doing it throughout my career, writing it down on pieces of paper, in my phone, but there was nothing to write in a journal itself in one place. So I thought, let me just create it.
So you think the act of actually physically writing it down yourself means it is that little bit more memorable and a bit more personal? Because I'm sure the clubs will always give you a report, or the manager will, or the coaches will, but it's probably some sort of typewritten thing if you're going to have a permanent reminder of it. And maybe it won't stick around quite as much as if you've physically sat there yourself and written down the way you felt, the way you played, and what you did.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, my thought process is, if I write stuff down many times, I'll remember it more. It means something more to me. And also, I found that if I write something down, it kind of gets it out of my head. So it clears my brain, and it's kind of like a reset mentally. So that's what the journal allows you to do with the questions it has inside. It will ask you 3 simple questions of your training session, your game, and you can answer it, and it gets it out of your head then.
Yeah, interesting.
So it's in sections, in other words, and it's all tight, it's all sort of set out, or then the person who gets it only has to fill it in. Is that the idea?
Yes, exactly. It's questions that you just need to answer. It's throughout my career, I've been lucky enough to work with a psychologist. I've been lucky enough to have a support system at home with my dad. And every training session, every game, we would analyse it. And we'd ask each other these questions. Mainly it was what to do better. Because I think if you sing in your praises a bit too much, you're not going to be moving forward. You think you're too comfortable. Whereas if you can always look for things to improve on, which we did, then you can work on it the next day in training.
But I suppose if there are some positives in there as well, if you are in a bit of a bad trot, you can go back and say, okay, so what did I do then when this was happening to me before?
Yes, and that's important. And again, we have those questions in the journal as well. It's not just what did you do wrong? It's what also did you do well? Because again, like you said, it's confident building. You don't have to score, say you want to score 20 goals for the season. You're not going to score all those 20 goals in the first 5 games of the season, but you might pick off 1 or 2 goals in those 5 games and keep using that as your stepping stone to build the confidence.
Yeah, interesting.
In the piece, Justin Allen's piece, so you were inspired by Bielsa, is that right?
So again, I've done it throughout my career, and another stage of my career was at Leeds with Bielsa, and he did the same thing as well. After every game, he would get every individual player and he would run through the clips of the previous game and analyse it. And it would be telling you what you did right, what you did wrong. And luckily, the translator behind us, he'd be translating it vocally, and he'll be also writing it down and the computer to print off for us. So I kept all my sheets because during my career, if I have a bad game or something's not clicking, I would sometimes go back to those notes and think, what would Bielsa have said in these moments, and then just refresh myself.
So are you going to try and make it available to other players? Is that the plan?
Yeah, so it's on the website at the moment, twohalvesjournal.co.uk, and it's available for anybody, professional, grassroots, academies. At the moment, it's in academies, especially Aston Villa. They're making full use of it.
Good,
great idea. And then what have your when other managers and teammates have seen you doing it and you've explained what it is, have they generally sort of got it and seen the benefits?
Yeah, I think when I've explained it and showed it to them, they understand it and it makes sense to them. But for me, it's not a thing where you have to tell everybody you're doing this. It's a personal thing as well. You don't need to show anybody. It's down for you.
Sure.
But I'm open enough in myself, and I believe in this way of improving. So I'm just going to be spreading the word.
I imagine people can apply this to life, not just football.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it could. I mean, certainly any sport. I mean, it's absolutely no reason, and beyond, I would guess.
Yes, definitely. And before, when I mentioned, for me, it helps me get rid of thoughts in my head, overthinking. And a lot of players and people in general just suffer from overthinking and worrying themselves.
Yeah.
So if you can clear that and get that out of your head and write it down on the paper, then it's happy days.
Twohalvesjournal.co.uk if you want to find out more. What have you made of your old club Leeds start in the Premier League, Kemar? Very good start. It's always going to be a difficult campaign for them. They need to stay up, and they're showing good promise. Yeah, they've looked. I mean, they've looked pretty strong, haven't they? Where have they got this weekend? They go to Brighton, which is not an easy trip, and they're not in the best of nick. So that would be a big result if they can get something from that. Yes, definitely. And it's the cliche is there's not an easy game in the Premier League. Every game is difficult. The standard is so high.
That is true.
That is true. And what about Rangers? It's a weird old time up in the SPL, isn't it, with everything that's been going on with Celtic and Hearts flying at the moment? It's a bit of a strange one. Yes, in Scottish League, it's always drama. One of the Celtic or Rangers or another team like Hearts this season, there's always a story going on. So, yes, the Celtic and Rangers, they need to pick it up. And I think they will. So it'd be an interesting race for the title this season. Yeah, Danny Roll's gone in there. What did you make of that appointment? It seemed to take a while for them to get who they wanted. It seemed he turned it down. They
won, didn't they, the first game?
Yeah, he seemed to. Well, they lost in Europe, didn't they? But he seemed to turn it down in the first place. Yes, it's a difficult job. I don't think you can just take that job without really thinking about it, because there's probably more negatives than positive with the amount of pressure and the size of the club, and you don't realise it until you're actually in the heat of it. It's easy looking at the two clubs and saying you should do this, you should do that. It's not the case. If you can handle the pressure, the demand from the fans, then you'll succeed. But if you can't, it's going to be a hard road. Yeah, absolutely. That's true of management, player, anybody involved. So, well, Kemar, we wish you well, and wish you well getting back in and finding a club. Are there some options at the moment? Yeah, we don't expect you to name names, but are there some options out there? Yes, there's a few, and it's a difficult moment and period for me because you don't want to rush into making a decision, and I want to get myself up to 100% maximum fitness, because if I'm signing for a club, I'm going to give it my all and do my best to help them win games. Excellent. Good to talk to you. All the best. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. Kemar Roofe there, former Rangers and Leeds striker, and his Two Halves Journal. Good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, very good idea.
Later on, Stan Collymore joining us for a bit of a chat. Mark Priestley as well, from the world of F1, the former McLaren mechanic and author, has a new book out. We'll be looking at the Formula One drivers' race at the moment. It's very, very interesting. It's hotting up. But before that, a bit of cricket. Neil Manthorpe and Steve Harmison bring you the Cricket Collective show. And they've not missed a week, 260 not out. And they've done them from all far-flung corners of the world to make sure they don't miss a week. And they'll be joining us for a chat in a few moments' time. We're here, of course, with our good friends at Toolstation. Gear up for those darker nights with electrical and lighting offers. Next stop, Toolstation.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs. Seems the consensus among the TalkSPORT listeners that the going rate for the Tooth Fairy these days is £5.
Oh,
a £5.
A lot of money, really, isn't it?
It is a lot of money. Thank you for all of your input on that. Maybe we should get the thoughts of our two guests. Neil Manthorpe and Steve Harmison have popped in. They bring you the Cricket Collective. They're about to do their 260th. They've never missed a week. And Harmy, you say a lot of credit goes to Scott, your producer, for this.
Yeah, it does. It has to. I think we wouldn't be continuous for 5 years if it wasn't for Scott making sure that between the two time zones that me and Manners are on, or wherever we are in the world, I think Manners has counted 11 different countries he's done it from.
Wow.
I've done it from 10 different countries. But at some point on a Monday or a Tuesday, we get together for an hour and a half, talk to some people that are in the news that week about cricket, and we put a show together and put it out there for cricket fans to listen to, which has been great.
So cruise ships, man, as you say, where were you cruising at that point when you were chatting to Harmy?
I was in.
What were you missing? You were missing the deck.
I was in international waters, so I've done it from 11 countries and one episode from no country at all. Yeah, my 84-year-old father said he's one of those stingy blokes, and he called me up and he said, "Book myself a cruise. You won't believe the single supplement." So
I suppose it's a thought that counts.
I thought, where's this heading? Anyway, it's the one and only cruise I've ever been on. And we were in international waters. And if you've ever been on a cruise, you will know how much data costs.
Yeah.
You get 60 minutes free. And I had to use up all of my free data. Otherwise, I'd have been paying to do that episode.
Wow. Who was in the back of a tuk-tuk in Hyderabad? Was that you?
Both of us.
Oh, both of you.
Yeah.
So you did it.
And Scott.
And
he had one of
Scott.
those extra large tuk-tuks. So he could sit and hold the camera.
He had the camera from outside, who was absolutely petrified. I mean, he was. I mean, that India trip we did was unbelievable. We hired a tuk-tuk for about 2 or 3 hours to drive round Hyderabad, didn't we? And one of the funny bits was that Manners couldn't see me, but I could see what was going on. And there was, what was the lake? You can describe.
There was a holy lake which provided the drinking water for a population of 20,000 in the valley, and I'd done all the history, and this was going back 3,000 years to the first signs of civilization, and I was saying how important this lake was to the people and how holy it was, and I had my back to the lake, and our tuk-tuk driver walked round the back, out of sight of me, picked up 2 bags of domestic rubbish from the back of his tuk-tuk and tossed them into the lake.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
And I'm recording, and Harmy says it doesn't look like it's very holy to them now.
I was standing, and I could see the tuk-tuk driver giving the big swing.
Oh, right.
All of a sudden,
and a good arm.
Underarm it straight into the lake. He's looking at me quizzingly going, "What on earth are you laughing at?" And I had to explain to him that shopping was in. But no, it's. And we've had some good stories on there. We tried to keep it as topical as a weekly news cricket show.
Yeah.
So
a lot of good guests.
We get good guests on that. I think we like coming on for a bit of crack. We like, we've got quite a few good Australian friends who, depends on what time of the night we get. Robert Crash Craddock, who's one of Manners' best friend, the Brisbane Courier Mail. And when he comes on, he normally gives us a line, and normally he's about 3 or 4 wines in when he comes on,
tremendous.
Which is always very, very good. County coaches, even just this week, we had Peter Moores, who just won the championship for the 3rd time with 3 different counties. Paul Fabris, who's, I think, one of the sort of the best coaches at describing what's happening with the game at this moment in time. Farby was on. We've had, in times where we've had Liam Livingston make a statement when he got left out of the side. He came on the show and said, nobody had spoke to us. Rob Key then, in his interview, he said, well, he's got my phone number. So it was nice to have them sort of stories that come. And Sam Curran, again, when he wasn't in the side, spoke about what he needed to do to get back in the side. And then he's now back in it. So these are nice little stories that we try and give to make the cricket fans enjoy the show.
So the new one, the 206th, if you're doing what, next week? Is that right?
I think it's next week, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
The following on feed, that's where you'll find it. You can watch it on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel as well. So 260 not out.
Are you going to do it through the Ashes?
Oh, well, I
can't stop now.
We can't stop now.
That would be really weird timing.
No, obviously, but
it's become the sort of one of the pillars around which we build our weeks. Isn't it?
It is. Yeah, we get a message off Scott on a Sunday afternoon, and then we plan our week. We plan our golf anyway. And
who knows? With your respective contacts, maybe we'll be inside the England camp during the Ashes. Maybe a few conversations.
Fingers crossed. Joe. We've also, haven't we? We've had a team in their cars. So We've had a lot of players come on. Joe Root came on, in his car, because you ring him up, look, can you give us 10 minutes? And also, well, training finishes at X, I'll do between this time. And more often than not, they've left the changing rooms, gone and sat in their car, put their phone on the dashboard, before they started driving. We had Tim Bresnan, who was actually driving at the time. Tell him to pull over.
Right.
The likes of Joe Root was, we've had a lot of cricketers in their cars, haven't we, Manners?
And coaches. Yeah, we've got a very good team. We keep replacing players in our talkSPORT cricketers in their cars, best 11. And we also focus on women's cricket as well.
Yeah.
I think, it's really important. I mean, it's impossible. We have an item at the end called the final word, where we finish with something lighthearted or something sometimes serious, sometimes sad. It's impossible to cover the world of cricket or even English cricket in an hour. But, we just try and take a sample from.
Yeah, we were just saying, it was watching the game unfold yesterday with the Aussies. Clearly thought they'd beaten India, and then India managing to get the total. They were very emotional, the Indian girls, at the end of the game, understandably. So what do you think? The final, South Africa, Manners, versus India. How are you seeing it?
Well, South Africa got thumped by England in the first game, didn't they? The South African girls have been saying for the best part of a year that their dream is to play India in the final. So they've. I wonder whether they've now that they've achieved that. This is the ultimate dream, and it'll be a massive, massive, emotional, passionate crowd.
Yeah.
It's remarkable, really, because South Africa got belted by Australia, just managed, and England. But
that's tournaments for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? I love it. People say everyone knows Australia is the best team. Well, yes, they are.
Yeah.
But can they win the World Cup? Are South Africa's men the best Test team?
Yeah.
No. Are they Test champions? Yes. That's the beauty of tournament play, isn't it? It's not a weakness.
Quick one on the Ashes. Then we're getting ever closer. How are you feeling? You feeling more positive or negative as we get closer, Harvey?
I'm still positive that we can compete. I think that's the thing. I think always the challenge of going to Australia is, can you compete in them first couple of games? If you come out the second game and you're still in the series, then you have a bit of a chance.
Yeah.
The batting at this moment in time is not looking great in New Zealand, but I think once we get to Australia, the flatter wickets, they're going to be a little bit more suited in practice. England's bowlers, Carse looked good in that first game. Archer looked really good in that second game. We'll see how they both come through the next game, because I'm sure they'll both play. And then I spent a lot of time with Mark Wood leading into going away, and he's in good form.
Yeah, it's good.
He feels as though he's ready for that first Test match. So they're the positive signs of it, but it's like anything else. When your heavyweight boxer stands in front of each other in the sort of...
Their preparation is so much better than
it is.
Playing in Shield cricket, or they're playing against India in sort of a one-day international. They're playing hard cricket,
and it comes down to the fact, like you say, it's who blinks first, who gets a bop on the nose first, and who actually stands there once they've been hit and gives it back. And England, I think, verbally got it. Right. I really do think you're going to see England more like Australia than Australia over in that part of the world. You normally see a brash Australians going hard at you. I think this will be the England's method, and they'll go that way. And I think if they can come out of Brisbane and England are still in the contest, whether it's 1-0 down, 1-0 up, 1-1, England have a great chance. But Ashes has always won on them first two Test matches. Coming out of Brisbane, coming out of Adelaide, if you're still in that Test series, what they were before, then you have a chance. If you can get Australia to turn their back on them, which they are very, very good at. Australia, if England, 100,000 on Boxing Day, by when 10-11, when England put 150 in front or miles in front, there was nobody inside Melbourne. They'd all gone. If you can get them to turn their back on their cricketers, which they're very, very good at, when they're beating them, then England have a chance. But that is, for me, is always going to be the challenge. Stokes is massive in this series.
Oh, very much so.
Both batting, both ball, and the way he captains his aggressive manner. He is going to be huge. But England need to be in the series come the end of the pink ball test. If they're out of it, then it could be the same as what it's been since 10-11, where England will struggle. But if they're in it, I think they've got a great chance, especially going into Christmas.
Fingers crossed. Guys, thank you very much. Congratulations on 260 not out. Follow it on podcast. And we will catch up with you, I'm sure, during the Ashes. And you're just about very quickly going to record another when the lights go out with Leon McKenzie.
Leon McKenzie and Colin Jackson. So we're looking forward to speaking to Colin in the next sort of 2 or 3 hours. So that'll be a good recording.
We'll look forward to hearing that go out, and indeed available as a podcast. It's an excellent series. Go and check it out wherever you get your podcasts. It's on the app as well. Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Stan Collymore joining us for a football chat in the next hour, and we will speak to the boxing ring announcer who fought Steve Austin before he was stone cold.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Former F1 mechanic Mark Priestley popping in to see us a little bit later on, chat about his new book. But first, Matt Hutchinson has the sports headlines.
Thanks, Paul. Having hinted after the Palace game that he wasn't happy with Liverpool's squad depth, Arne Slot is now saying the opposite.
I'm completely happy with the team, with all the quality we have, and I'm also completely convinced by the strategy and the policy we have.
Well, that on-pitch strategy of winning games will be tested again by Villa tomorrow. That one's live on talkSPORT. Ryan Gravenberch could help, but he's touch and go.
Ryan trained with us for the first time yesterday. Will train with us today, and then we're going to make the call if he's able to start, yes or no.
Elsewhere this Friday afternoon, we understand Joshua Zirkzee is actively exploring options to leave Man United. He wants to boost his World Cup chances. Now, is the long throw revolution affecting transfer policy? Here's Eddie Howe.
Height is key. You can't have a team that's too small. That's something we talk a lot about with recruitment, because the balance of that is crucial, where you get your height and how you get your height in different positions.
Lucas Paquetá has been given a slap on the wrist by the FA. His warning of his future conduct is for not fully complying with the spot-fixing investigation. He was cleared of those charges back in July. And last but not least, John Terry has called Jamie O'Hara ridiculous for suggesting Spurs are bigger than Chelsea globally. Terry was so upset he got in touch with us ahead of Chelsea's trip to the Spurs stadium.
I've been invited to the game by Tottenham the weekend, so it's a 5:30 kickoff. They've asked me to get there at 5:29, and they'll said they'll take me round the trophy cabinet and they'll have me in my seat by kickoff.
Mr O'Hara left the building this morning in a hastily booked taxi. And changes to the 100 will guarantee the best players in the world are on show. That's according to Managing Director Vikram Banerjee. Salaries are going up by 45% next year, and there'll also be an auction just like the IPL.
talkSPORT News.
A former Army Sergeant Major has been jailed for 6 months for sexually assaulting a teenage soldier. And the first formal steps to strip Andrew of his royal titles, including Prince, have begun. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got more premium tyres than the number of times you'll hear, "Ooh, it's a bit nippy" this winter. Book today at quickfit.com.
We're expecting an afternoon of sunny spells and blustery showers across the UK, with the heaviest rain in the west. Mild temperatures are expected.
It's the first one after I lost to Smith.
He stunned Callum Smith! Can you believe it?
I think it was turning a new leaf, and it's who you're going to go with.
Really good work here from Boazzi. Oh, it's brave from Joseph, but he walks into one there.
Been waiting for a big fight. You don't get much bigger than this.
Ladies and gentlemen, Parker looking for the finish. Big punches going in, nothing coming back. Parker looking to finish this fight here.
A lot on the line. Whoever wins probably goes for a world title.
For me, it's important to prove that actually I can bounce back from a loss. I will show myself on November the 1st.
Yeah, more live, top live boxing for you here on talkSPORT tomorrow evening. Joshua Barazzi takes on Zach Parker for the WBO International Light Heavyweight title at the Carp Arena in Manchester. And there's a big fight night, big card, about 11 fights.
Yeah, a lot of fights. Good value.
So a man will be on the lozenges by about 11:30. Joins us now. He's the ring announcer tomorrow evening, the fabled ring announcer, Thomas Tre. Good afternoon, Thomas.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me. Big fan of talkSPORT.
Oh, yeah. God bless you. Thank you very much for coming on. I was looking into your biography, and it's a fascinating one. You were a wrestler. I've been making the point that you fought Steve Austin before he was Stone Cold. He had another name back in your day, didn't he?
That's right. He was known as Stunning Steve Austin. This is, of course, before he went to the WWF, which is now WWE. And he was in a tag team called the Hollywood Blondes with Fly and Brian Pillman. And I was enhancement talent, or a jobber, as it's often referred to. So I never won any of my matches in WCW, but I was known as Tommy Tana and had the honor of wrestling Steve Austin.
Wow, what about that? I mean, we all know it's choreographed, but, you know, you still take the falls, you still take the hits. It's a pretty physically challenging business, isn't it?
It is. I mean, some people describe it as a sports soap opera. You know, of course, the decisions are determined and no one's in there to intentionally hurt each other, but it does happen. You can't fake gravity. So when you see guys falling from a high level, you know, you try and learn how to fall properly, but it does take its toll on the body after time.
Yeah. So how did you make the transition from wrestler to ring announcer then, Thomas?
Well, I was actually a ring announcer first. I started ring announcing when I was 17 years old. Really? I was still in high school. And I started ring announcing boxing and pro wrestling. So that's kind of how I got my foot in the door with professional wrestling. And at 19, I competed in bodybuilding. And it was after one of my competitions that a fellow wrestler said, "Hey, you know, you're in good shape. Why don't you give wrestling a try?" And of course, that had always been in the back of my mind. So at 19 years of age, I got the opportunity to train and then become a professional wrestler, and then eventually got that call to do some work for WCW, World Championship Wrestling, in 1993. So we're going way back, guys. Yeah. I'm showing my age here.
Did you ever box at all, Thomas?
Never boxed. I did work at a grocery store, and I boxed apples and oranges, but that was about as far as I went.
Yes. So how long have you been calling fights in the UK? Can you remember your first fight when you were over here?
Oh, absolutely. I'll never forget. It was December of 2008. It was when Carl Froch fought Jean Pascal for Carl's first world title fight. It was in Nottingham, England, Trent FM Arena, and that was my first event ever in the UK. And that led me to doing several events with Hennessy Sports. Mick Hennessy at the time was promoting a lot of shows on ITV. Eventually, we moved to Channel 5. So I had about a good 2-3 year run of doing shows between 2009 and 2012 with Hennessy Sports. And then there was a period of time where I didn't do any shows in the UK, but eventually got the call from Queensberry in September of 2017. And it's been an incredible journey so far.
How much preparation do you do before each big fight?
Well, I think that is the key as a ring announcer, is to do show preparation, because, you know, you only get one chance. You're live, and you want to make sure you say the hometowns correctly, regardless of where they're from. You want to get the names pronounced correctly. You know, there's a lot of more work to it than people think. So I host the weigh-in. I'll even host a press conference. And I usually, I take advantage of anytime I'm around one of the fighters on the card, I'm always asking them, hey, just want to confirm, what color trunks are you wearing? Is this still your nickname? So I do everything I can to dot all my I's and cross all my T's.
But even the best like yourself, Thomas, can have a slip now and again. There was a moment, wasn't there, when you got into the ring and you'd forgotten your card and you'd forgotten the boxers' names.
Yes. It was many, many years ago. It was actually my first ever. Thanks for bringing it up. I appreciate that. It was my first. It was actually, I want to say it was my second or third time on national television in the United States. It was on ESPN. So pretty big deal to be on ESPN. And the short version of the story is the fight got stopped, so it was a TKO, and I went into the ring with my microphone, not thinking that I left my card ringside. So I got the time of the stoppage from the timekeeper, and as I turned around, the floor director was going, "Go, go, go," with the decision. And it was at that exact moment that I was getting that signal that I realized I don't have my card and I don't know the fighter's name. So I thought, boy, just go with it. Just go with it. So, I was like, ladies and gentlemen, the official time, 1 minute, 42 seconds of round number 2, your winner by technical knockout. And here's where I made the mistake. I said, "What's your name?" to the fighter, and I kept the microphone too close to my mouth, so everybody at home watching heard me say, "What's your name?"
Wow.
You know, the veteran me would have put the microphone down before saying that question, but it was a learning experience. I have never forgotten my card into the ring since. So, you know, that's the one thing about this job is you're going to make mistakes, but the key is to learn from them.
What's my name, of course, is a great boxing phrase
it
for
is.
boxing historians. Yes, so there's nothing wrong with that.
So I gather you've got
that might be the name of my book someday.
Yeah, that's true. You've got a new trademark line, I gather. The hour of truth has arrived.
There you go.
Oh, that's good, isn't it? How did you come by that one?
Well, you know, it's really hard for, you know, Michael Buffer, of course. There's only one Michael Buffer, and there's only one Let's Get Ready to Rumble. But, you know, as my career has grown, you want to have something that, you know, signifies your main event moment. So just recently, a good friend and I were talking, and he had pointed out that when Muhammad Ali was fighting Joe Frazier, I believe it was 1972, he was walking to the ring, and Ali kept saying, "The hour of truth has arrived. The hour of truth has arrived." And I said, you know what? I think that's it. I think that would be a great line for the main event. So after I, you know, do all the judges and all the officials and welcome everyone joining us live worldwide, I then say, "The hour of truth has arrived." And so thank you, Muhammad Ali. You know, I think I love the story behind it, and I love saying it, and I hope as I continue to do it that the boxing fans will enjoy it.
And any advice, finally, Thomas? There might be someone out there who feels they've got the voice to do the sort of thing that you do. What advice would you give to any budding ring announcer?
Don't do it. No, I'm kidding. No, I think, you know, it's a great job. I love my job. I love traveling. I love being around the sport of boxing. Look, if it's your passion, if it's something you want to pursue, go for it. You know, we've only got one chance in this life to do something we enjoy. And I feel honored every day to make a living doing what I love. And it took me many years. I worked side jobs. I did whatever I had to do to support myself between gigs for many years. But thankfully, in most recent years, this is all I do. But follow your dreams. That would be my advice.
Fantastic. Well, it's been great to talk to you, Thomas.
Lovely.
Enjoy tomorrow night. We'll be listening to you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
There we are. Thomas Tre with the former wrestler and boxing announcer for all the big
fun job, I think.
Yeah, it must be travelling the world as the big ring announcer. Oh, don't forget your cards. That would be the other advice that Thomas would give you. See Zach Parker topping the bill tomorrow, making his Queensbury debut is Joshua. Yes, he's on a winning streak, and it should be a heck of a fight. You can watch this Saturday, live only on DAZN, and of course our expert boxing team will keep you right across a busy fight week, and you can watch along on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. Yeah, you won't miss a thing tomorrow night here on talkSPORT, or indeed on DAZN. It is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs. We're going to be joined by Mark Priestley in the studio from the world of F1 very shortly, and Stan Collymore joining us for a chat. We're here with Tool Station. Stay switched on with lighting and electrical essentials. Next stop, Tool Station.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Hawksbee Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Stan Collymore joining us. Got some interesting stuff on Liverpool and Villa ahead of the game live on talkSPORT tomorrow evening. But we're going to talk a bit of F1 now with the former F1 mechanic for McLaren. He had a bestseller. His book, The Mechanic, came out a few years back. He's back with a new book, Pit Lane Lessons, what F1 can teach us about life and work. It is Mark Elvis Priestley. Good afternoon, Mark.
What a great nickname.
I mean, if it was Mark Presley, I'd buy it. But it's odd that they've called you Elvis and it's not even Presley, isn't it?
It's tenuous, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was a bright spark at school when I was about 10 years old and it stuck.
It's stuck.
And honestly, my wife only ever calls me Elvis now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, tell us a little bit about the book. You do lots of work with businesses as well. And so it kind of feeds into that, the kind of life lessons from the F1 pit lane into the workplace.
Exactly, yeah. I spent 10 years working for McLaren in the pit lane, on the front line. And you realise when you come out that Formula One and the teams especially do an incredible job of sort of maximising everything. They're in this highly competitive world. And I realised after I left the team that easily translates into the business world because they're all in the same competitive environment. They all want to win. And so I've been doing that for a number of years, working as a sort of consultant and speaker. And actually only fairly recently, in the last couple of years, did I realise that a lot of the lessons I'm helping businesses with are the same lessons that can help everybody. We're all facing kind of high pressure moments in life. We're all kind of needing to get a team around us at times, deal with failure, celebrating success, all these different things that I help companies with. We all face the same challenges. So the book is really to help people to think about those challenges in the way that a Formula One team would think about them.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of value there.
Well, when you come out of it, I mean, the adrenaline rush you must get in that couple of hours around a race when it's all or nothing. So, I mean, what's it like when you finish that, when you're no longer there? It must take a bit of a period of adjustment, I would think.
It really does, because that is, particularly around pit stops. I was in pit stops for the whole of my 10-year period at the team. That's the biggest adrenaline rush I have ever had. It's incredible. And you get that week in, week out. It becomes part of who you are. So, yeah, when you leave, you're right. It's like, I guess, like an athlete or a sports person when they retire and they're out the limelight suddenly. It's not quite the same, but a similar feeling. But I went into TV and broadcasting and a media career. And, to some extent, and you'll appreciate this, boys, live broadcasting, same adrenaline.
Yes, true. That is true. Yeah. You do get that.
How did you actually get into it in the first place? Were you a mechanic?
No, I had this dream of getting into Formula One. So that was the only dream. So this was about 16 years old. I grew up living close to Brands Hatch, which is where the British Grand Prix was back then. So I saw Formula One come to my little village every couple of years, and that was the dream. So I never went via a route sort of in a road car garage. I followed the route that a driver climbs up towards Formula One, so climbing the ladder of motor racing. And I did the same. Start at the bottom, work my way up, but always on the engineering side.
Is that still a viable route, do you think?
It is. Yeah. There's lots of different routes. Lots of routes into Formula One, but also loads of different jobs when you get there. Some of these teams have got over 1,000 people, loads of different roles and responsibilities. So there is definitely a route via university and getting degrees, but there's also an experience route. There are apprenticeships. There's loads of ways you can find your way into this sport. So I did it through getting hands-on experience in pit lanes, just at lower formula, if you like, and work my way up.
When you're doing these speeches and you're chatting to people, are there questions, or there are probably lots of questions about Lewis Hamilton, aren't there? What's he like? Does that one come up a lot, I would imagine?
Yeah, what's he like? I had a great one recently where a sort of middle-aged lady at the back of the room asked if I had Jenson Button's phone number. So I get that every now and again. But yeah, Lewis is obviously a very popular guy in and out of the sport. He's probably the first driver really since Ayrton Senna to transcend Formula One, if you like. You know, he became a star in the US long before Formula One had managed to crack the US.
Yeah.
And he's a brand all in himself. So yeah, lots of questions. And the answer to that question you've just asked, what's he like? He's brilliant. He's a great guy. He's an unbelievable role model in so many different ways. And it was a real privilege for me to have the opportunity to work with him.
What do you made of his year at Ferrari?
It's been tough, hasn't it? It's been really tough. I think there are a number of reasons for that. It's tough anyway, starting at a new team, and you've seen that with a few drivers that have moved teams over the last year or so. But particularly moving to Ferrari, he's worked with us at McLaren, he then went to Mercedes. They're British teams based in the UK, British people, British ways of doing things, and that's a real thing. The culture in Ferrari is different. It's Italian.
Yeah.
And there's no disrespect to that. It's just different. And so you have to learn to sort of work with those people in a slightly different way. And when you're operating at the highest level, which Formula One is, to have to go in and still operate at that very high level, but also learn new methods of communication, new techniques and processes, there's going to be a little bit of that sort of just takes away from the ultimate performance. And I think that's what's happened. But certainly don't write him off.
It's going to be a very exciting end to the season. You have to admire Verstappen for the way he's put pressure on the two other drivers.
Yeah.
It's something, he's so relaxed and so confident that if he was chasing me, I'd be worried.
Well, do you know, I put this question on my Instagram account the other day. Who would you rather be at this point? Which of those three seats, the two McLaren boys or Verstappen? I'd rather be Verstappen. Although he's third in the standings, so he's got a points deficit, he hasn't got anywhere near the pressure that the two McLaren lads have got. He hasn't got those two teammates fighting each other. And he can kind of sit there a little bit more relaxed. He's got the experience of winning multiple titles already. And I think he's kind of got a great big grin on his face and thinking, I could get amongst this.
You've got, obviously, experience of two drivers from the same team going for the title. You've been there before. What is the dynamic? Is it difficult within the teams? You try not to, have a favourite, I guess.
Well, when it happened to us, and it was Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso back in 2007, and long-standing Formula One fans will remember, it ended in tears massively. It was a disastrous year, and yet we had the two best drivers. We had a great car. We should have won everything. And actually what happened was the two drivers fell out. That sort of destroyed the team because the group of people around those drivers then fell out with each other, and it starts to spread. So... And if you look back over the history of Formula One, it's actually quite rare that the two teammates in a team end up being the ones going for a title. It's happened in that occasion. It happened with Senna and Prost back in the day. It happened with Lewis and Nico Rosberg at Mercedes. Every one of those ended in tears. We've now got a very similar situation with the two McLaren drivers in Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. And at the moment, things seem quite friendly, but we're getting to the sharp end. And that's when the pressure starts to really ramp up. The guy on the other side of the garage, who is your teammate, suddenly becomes your worst enemy and is the only thing standing between you and the thing you've dreamt of since you were a small kid. So it's going to be fireworks, I think.
And I suppose it's stop taking each other out. That would help.
Well, yeah. But I suppose it's only natural that, if you work in the team, you probably will have a favourite, one you know better, one you get on with better, but you can't really show that, can you?
No, that's right. You do have to be impartial. But I think what happens is the dynamic of a team is you have a driver on either side of the garage, but you also have a team around that driver who are dedicated to that driver. So they definitely have a favourite. They are working for and with that driver. So there's a definite split in the garage where everyone on that side wants their driver to win. But then there's a much wider team where they don't necessarily have, a favourite, and they just want the team to win. They've already won the Constructors' Championship. So if you're McLaren as a company, you don't really care which one wins.
Yeah.
But what you definitely don't want is the two of them destroying the hopes of the team and, Verstappen comes through. Because when I talk about 2007, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Our two guys were leading the championship right up to the very last day. Kimi Räikkönen in a Ferrari slipped in at the last moment and won the title from us. So it can happen.
I'm known for my idiotic questions.
Yes.
Here's one for you. Do you service your own car?
That's not idiotic. And the answer is no, I don't.
Okay.
And it's not because I can't, it's because I don't want to.
Okay, well, fair enough.
You don't need to. He's earned enough. He doesn't have to do that anymore. So you get there sort of changing spark plugs. Well, Mark, lovely to see you. Thanks for coming in. All the life lessons that Mark learned from the world of F1 and beyond are in Pit Lane Lessons, what F1 can teach you about life and work, published by Bodley Head Publishing, and came out yesterday, available in hardback. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks for coming.
Stan Collymore joining us next. He has his own take on Liverpool and Villa ahead of their game tomorrow night live on talkSPORT, and he'll stick around for the Falls panel. The games for the Falls panel, excuse me. Call us now. We'll call you back in 15 minutes' time. We'd like you to predict the scores of Liverpool versus Aston Villa, West Ham versus Newcastle, and Sunderland versus Everton. 03717 223344.
Spurs and Chelsea.
Yes, thankfully. 03717 223344. Call us now. We'll call you back, and you can represent the panel beaters in the Falls panel.
Arne Slot says his only focus is getting back to winning ways for Liverpool and has batted back any suggestions of a new deal.
This is the last question I was expecting. I think my focus should be completely on getting Liverpool back on winning ways.
And despite it being against his beliefs, Slot would tweak his playing style to get results.
I've won games in the past, so we're talking about City away. It was necessary to play it over there like that in the second half. So I would be more than open to adapt in certain situations.
The Liverpool boss has also confirmed Alisson and Isak are still out injured, but Ryan Gravenberch is being assessed today. They host Villa tomorrow night live on talkSPORT, with the champions hoping to avoid a fifth league defeat on the spin. Elsewhere, the FA has warned Lucas Paquetá. The West Ham midfielder was cleared of 4 spot-fixing charges back in July. He's now escaped with a slap on the wrist for not fully complying with that investigation. And John Terry has been in touch after Jamie O'Hara said Spurs were bigger than Chelsea globally.
What on earth is he on about this morning, O'Hara? Even using those 2 words together, Spurs and globally, should never be in the same sentence ever again. Absolutely ridiculous.
And there's plenty more at talksport.com.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. And tomorrow evening, we bring you the big game between Liverpool and Aston Villa exclusively live. Here to look ahead to that man who played for both clubs and supports one of them. It is, of course, Stan Collymore. Good afternoon, Stan.
Paul, Andy, how are you?
We're not
good,
so
thanks,
bad. You sent us some notes over. You've got a really interesting take on both of these clubs and their sort of state of play at the moment. Let's start with the home team, Liverpool. What have you made of what's been going on there?
Yeah, I mean, looking at every club when they make signings is that you kind of get used to certain clubs do their business in certain ways. So Real Madrid, you think of over the last 20 years, the Galacticos. Manchester United, probably the closest to that in English football. And Liverpool's success, the most successful club in English football history by trophies won, has always been, even going back to when I was a kid, the likes of Dalglish, when he signed, it was a British record transfer, but he had to fit into what Liverpool did. And every big signing, myself included, which was a British transfer record, is that you have to very much bend to what Liverpool want. And I think that I know that we live in a very different age where every big signing has to go on social media and it has to be tweeted or Instagrammed to death. But I do think that Liverpool's business, particularly around Wirtz and Isak, was borderline irresponsible. And I think that the reason why that is because they went down the Galacticos line, reams and pages about both players. When you've got in the dressing room routine winners, you then have the tragic set of circumstances around Diogo Jota, which was always going to come at some point and affect different players at different times. And I think it was just all a little bit of a mess. I think that Liverpool fans were thinking, it's the second coming in terms of Wirtz and then the protracted Isak situation. That then forces a manager to have to pick them perhaps ahead of time. I don't think anybody could pick Liverpool's best 11 at the moment. I don't think any Liverpool fan that's been watching them for 30, 40 years could say, for sure, this is the best 11. And I think that out of all of the signings, Ekitike, for me, is the one that perhaps deserves the most credit in terms of how he's settled in. And he deserves to be the number 9 at the minute. So I just think that there was so much hullabaloo about the new signings and people getting very excited that they were going to blow the league away in the first few weeks of the season. And I think that allowed clubs, particularly like Arsenal, that just added, and they've added incrementally over the years, but for once there wasn't loads of noise around them. Manchester City, we know that they're in a rebuild. Is that the heights that Liverpool have dropped to in recent games, for me, is not much of a surprise. And I think that conversely, coming to Aston Villa, look, they don't have Liverpool's money. They, I thought, panicked in terms of bringing in Harvey Elliott and Jadon Sancho. But I remember saying to you on the eve of the season, I think Villa will finish 5th. I think we've got a very good first 11, 13, 14 players. And then, of course, we have a really poor early season. But whereas Slot has been really looking for the best 11, Unai Emery just went back to, these guys played well in the Champions League. These guys have played well over the last couple of years. And instead of forcing Elliott and Sancho into the team, you know, 2 guys that are on significant money at Villa, they've barely played really in terms of what the expectation was. The expectation was for them to both come into the team to add significant minutes, and they haven't done that. So it's just for me a fascinating insight into Slot's been given all of these players, and I still don't think he quite knows what's his best 11 or what to do with them. And Unai Emery had a really poor start and went back to basics, back to the guys that served us well, new contracts for players that have done well for us like Matty Cash. And yes, Harvey Elliott and Jadon Sancho, we need the bodies, but they're only going to come in when we really need them. And I don't think that's been the case for Liverpool's big signings. I think they've been forced into the 11 without much thinking.
It's interesting though, people really, you'd think logically adding those players to what they had, I know they lost a few players too, would work, but it may still, but it's not working at the moment, that's for sure.
I mean, the quality is certainly there. What did you make of Arne Slot sort of hinting at the fact that he doesn't have the depth in his squad? He talked about Chelsea and he talked about City. What did you make of that?
You could argue that. I mean, lots of managers now, I think that, again, following Pep Guardiola's lead over the last 3 or 4 years, which I know, again, people would say, well, you know, Pep Guardiola could say that because he's got a tap to any player in the world. So if 2 or 3 players don't work, he can change them very quickly. But Pep Guardiola doesn't like big squads. He's got on record saying if 5 or 6 players are sat in the stands on a match day, I really don't like it. And if I'm forced to do that in the future, then I'll leave. And I think that when you have a manager that comes in and didn't really have the ability to spend the kind of money that Liverpool have spent this summer, last summer, as Arne Slot did. So in other words, a sort of evolution rather than a revolution, is that you're picking very good players. You've got the Jurgen Klopp sort of blueprint and you can move forward. Now, if you compare them with Chelsea and Manchester City over the years have had a huge turnover of players. And I think that Liverpool, for different reasons, have done that this year, losing the likes of Trent, you know, wanting to have 2 new fullbacks, wanting to recruit new forwards. I get it and I understand it. But I don't think this is a squad numbers issue for Liverpool. I think this is buying players. I mean, I would argue, particularly the Ekitike and Isak situation, Paul and Andy, you go for one, you don't go for both.
Yeah,
I think that they could have arguably gone for an up-and-coming striker from somewhere around around Europe to shadow either Isak or Ekitike. And I think that the problem that you have on the training ground is that you've got to keep all of them happy. I mean, Cody Gakpo hasn't done really much wrong for Liverpool, and he tends to do well when he comes in. But you just imagine juggling those front 5 or 6 players, it becomes quite a difficult thing to do. So I think there's a little bit of excuse making there. I think that Liverpool have got a squad, and certainly there weren't many Liverpool fan groups, influencers bemoaning the lack of squad depth when Liverpool started this season. So I think that that's a little bit of a red herring. What he does need to do now, like any team that are going to attack the title, is that you usually see 11 to 13, 14 players regularly playing week in, week out to be able to get some momentum and get results. And that's what Liverpool need to do, starting with the game tomorrow night against Aston Villa.
Andy was showing me earlier on that David Raya, perhaps a joke doing the rounds on social media, David Raya's asked Arsenal whether he can work from home. I mean, he's basically got nothing to do in games at the moment.
I'm also interested in something that Julian Lescott said, Stan. He was talking about how to deal with long throws. He said, David Moyes had a great solution. When Delap was playing, obviously Rory Delap, I was at Everton. We didn't mark traditionally. We were on the goal line and would run out. Rather than anyone getting a touch and it still being in the mixer, if you're running out, your clearance will probably out the box. Hopefully someone adopts that, because someone's got to come up with something, otherwise they're going to be...
So getting a bit of a run on those players as it comes in, I mean...
Yeah, I think you've just got to take... I mean, I scan a lot of social media, and I think is it Mick McCarthy, Tony Pulis, Sam Allardyce all sort of do a podcast, and of course they're all sort of bristling at the moment because they're getting their second wind.
Yeah.
In terms of everybody now looking at them and going, oh well, they were right all along. The interesting thing is, I just had a quick look and some stats dropped, is that it's not just the Premier League that where corners and set pieces. I think the Premier League goals from corners was 12% last year, and it's gone up to 18% this year. But the Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga have all gone up in terms of their use of set pieces. So this isn't just a sort of English phenomenon. In terms of defending it, it's really simple. And I think that there was this little argument, I think, between Mick McCarthy and Tony Pulis about how they dealt with set pieces, for and against, long throws, etc. And you just have to take responsibility for your man. If me as a centre forward, 6'4", as a 6'4" defender to Mark, and you know that he wins lots of flick-ons into the box, you just have to go with him. And I think that that's something perhaps that modern players are not used to. I spoke to a coach the other week, and he coaches a League One team, and they took a player from a Premier League team, central defender, excellent at bringing the ball out from the back. But he put him into a League One game where it went into the mixer a lot more. And this guy was just waiting for it to come down onto his chest or to take it with his feet. Right. And he got absolutely mullered the first half because the centre forward was flicking everything on. Yeah. So he got him in at half time and said, "What on earth are you doing?" He said, "We just do not head the ball at the academy that we've come from." And of course, there are many different reasons for that, health reasons as well, where it's trying to be weaned out of the game. But there are many, many kids out there playing in academies that are just not used to heading the ball. So if any of them are listening, you go with your man, whoever you've been told to mark from a long throw or a corner. And if he wins the flick on, that's your responsibility and you get the rollicking. It's that simple.
Interesting stuff. Stan, thanks. We're going to be bringing you the Falls panel very shortly. Liverpool Villa, the game we're just discussing with Stan. West Ham Newcastle, Sunderland Everton. Ollie Klink, our commentator, joining us, and our panel beater as well. That's coming up shortly. We're here with Tool Station. Stay switched on. We're lighting and electrical essentials. Next stop, Tool Station.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it, Biggs.
Time then for the Falls panel. We're going to try and predict the scores of 3 big games. And you're going to hear them all on talkSPORT. I think you probably are. Anyway, it just says talkSPORT here. Anyway, I'll find out. It is Liverpool Villa. We definitely got that one. It is West Ham Newcastle and Sunderland versus Everton. And it's pretty straightforward. We're going to try and guess the scores. We get 3 points if we get it absolutely bang on. 1 for getting the outcome right and nothing for getting it wrong. A league table is built up. It's a commentator. It's a talkSPORT listener, our panel beater, us two and Stan. And Andy Jacobs finds himself still bottom of the table.
Yeah,
1 point last week.
I've got a discipline problem.
You have a bit. Yeah, another red card for Andy. He's on 12 points. Then it's the talkSPORT listener, John the Liverpool fan, got 1 last week. They're on 15. I'm solidly mid-table, 1 for me. I'm on 17. The 2 star performers were Ian Danter, who got 3 for the commentators, moved them into second. And Robert Earnshaw. Ernie came in last week for Stan and got him a solid 3 points. So Stan stays top. Good afternoon, Ollie Klink. Good to see you.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Yeah, not so bad. Please don't mention the Newcastle Spurs game. Although we've got a bit of Newcastle coming up, of course. They're heading off to West Ham.
That'll be a tough one.
Yeah. I think it's Andy, the Newcastle fan. Is that right? Hello, Andy.
How you doing, fellas? You all right?
Yeah, we're not so bad. Just 2 Newcastle fans.
I won't mention the Spurs game.
No, that's God bless you. Thank you very much.
Don't mention the Spurs game tomorrow either.
Is that the one that Newcastle won 2-0? Was that?
That is the one. The fairly comfortable.
Should have been 4.
Routine. I thought the ref was a bit of a homer. I've got to be honest. You know, would he have?
That's it. Blame the ref. Yeah.
Would he have blown up? Would he have let Dan Burn wander back in position for a corner, I think, if his boot came off? I think he might have done.
The shoelace gate. I never saw that in the rules before.
No.
That you had to have your shoe.
Well, I just think it's
common sense.
It's a gentleman's agreement.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, Stan stuck around. We're going to get underway then with Liverpool versus Aston Villa. And Stan, you're top of the tree, so you lead us off. You've talked about both teams, but what's going to happen tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, Liverpool aren't looking great at the moment. They're looking to avoid losing 5 consecutive league matches since 1953, just to give you some context on that. Liverpool have lost their last 4, Villa have won their last 4. But any Villa fan will tell you there are 2 teams that we don't want to play in the Premier League if we absolutely needed a result. One is against Liverpool, the other is against Manchester United. So my prediction is tempered with that. Villa have just have won 1 of their last 15 Premier League games against Liverpool. That was the 7-2 victory during COVID. I think that we're going to see Liverpool rally. I think it will be Liverpool 2, Aston Villa 1.
Oh, painful for Stan to say that. Ollie, what say you?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure I'm going to go for a Liverpool win here. They're on such a kind of bad run. Every time I think they're going to turn it back around. I know they had the Frankfurt game, but in the league it's not quite happened. So I still think they're leaky at the back. I'm going to go 2-2. 2-2.
Okay. I wrote down what Stan said. I just think they will find a way. Maybe it's just that thing of expecting them to do it, but I just think they may just nick it. I'm going to go 2-1 with Stan. Andy, the Newcastle fan.
I think Liverpool are capable of scoring, but they're not capable of keeping clean sheets. I'm going to go with Ollie and go with Desmond, mate.
Yeah, 2-2. Okay.
You can just see Unai Emery on our screens there. He's got his training hair.
Yeah, he's training here. When he doesn't gel it back, when he comes,
really odd,
when he's just showered after
Makes him
training,
look a lot younger.
He does. When he doesn't, he hasn't got the old Dracula look. It's Halloween, and he hasn't gone for the look. Andy, what do you? I think. Well,
I think Villa will win this. So, basically, I need the points. So I'm going to go against everybody else. 2-1 to Villa.
2-1 to Villa. Yeah, there's a bet builder to come along those lines later on with Paddy Power. TalkSport listeners home in the car. That one is live tomorrow night on TalkSport. Hugh Woos and Croft in the game will keep you in touch with West Ham versus Newcastle on Game Day live on Sunday. Stan, what about this then? The Hammers versus Newcastle.
Yes, West Ham United have won just 2 of their last 12 Premier League games against the Toon. And Newcastle have lost just 1 of their 8 Premier League away games at the London Stadium. Having said that, they're not travelling well at the moment. I saw Eddie Howe's comments earlier, and they need to rectify that. However, I will go for a Newcastle United win. West Ham United 1, Newcastle United 2.
Oh, OK, 2-1, says Stan. Ollie, your club, what do you reckon?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of happy it's at the London Stadium rather than West Ham being away from home. I think it'll be quite comfortable. I think Newcastle win 3-0.
3-0. OK. Well, I'll give Jared Bowen a goal. Normally the only bit of quality, certainly in the last 2 games I've seen him play. But it won't be enough. I've gone 3-1 to Newcastle. So, Andy, I take it you're going for the Newcastle win?
I'd like to think so. I'm just fearful that there's going to be a day in this Premier League season where West Ham might just turn up. But I don't think it's going to be a day. And, I'm going to be Mr. Confident and I'm going to go 1-5.
Blimey. 5-1.
Well, yeah.
Andy, what are you saying? You going for the West Ham win?
No.
Leave the points, Andy.
Don't say it like that.
No, I can't see how West Ham don't go down. They're so terrible.
It's very early on.
Doesn't matter how early on it is. They've been absolutely awful. Right. I think it's going to be 3-0.
Wow, another 3-0. Agreeing with Ollie there. Right. TalkSport listeners home in the car. On to Monday night then. Live on TalkSport exclusively for high-flying Sunderland versus Everton.
Come on, Everton.
Andy,
I'm with you there, mate.
So bitter. Stan, what about this one?
Yes, Sunderland have won 5 of their last 9 Premier League games. Just one fewer than they managed in the entirety of their last top-flight campaign in 2016-17. So they're flying. Conversely, Everton have lost their last 2, albeit against 2 very good teams in Man City and Spurs. But that initial new stadium, Jack Grealish, kind of everything's rosy in the garden. Moisey, rosy in the gardens, diminished a little bit. And I think that Sunderland will win the game. I think it'll be a very good performance from the Black Cats. Sunderland 2, Everton 0.
Oh, 2-0, says Stan. Ollie?
Yeah, begrudgingly, they're pretty good. Got to whisper it, but they're pretty good, Sunderland, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't even think they're that good. The only reason they won last week was Chelsea were utterly useless.
So bitter.
Not their fault, though, is it?
So bitter.
Yeah, I've got to say.
You can only beat what's in front of you, Andy.
No, it was a real smash and grab, though, wasn't it? Blimey.
Yeah. They keep winning, though. They keep on winning. They keep getting points.
Hopefully they won't.
Hopefully they won't, but I am going to predict 1-0 to Sunderland.
1-0 Sunderland. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that trend. I think they'll have enough. I'll go 2-1 Sunderland. Andy, the Newcastle fan, you got to say something nice about Sunderland as well.
Yeah, actually, they're very well organised. It's good for the North East, even though I hate saying it. They are well organised. Everton don't score enough. I'm going to agree with. Was it Ballers 2-1 to the Mackhams?
2-1. You're going with me. Yep. Okay. And finally, Andy Jacobs.
I'm going to the Stadium of Light dressed as the Toffee Woman.
Fantastic. That's a sight to behold.
Honestly, I'm desperate for Everton to win, but I don't think they will. I think it'll be 1-1.
1-1. OK, says Andy Jacobs. There we are. TalkSport listeners home in the car. OK, there's the Falls panel game. So 2 of those live on TalkSport exclusively. Thank you, Andy, the Newcastle fan. Have a good weekend.
And you, and same to all you guys as well. Have a good weekend and enjoy your footy.
Yeah, nice one. We will do.
I won't.
Well, come on, Andy. Thank you, Ollie.
Thank you very much.
Are you in action? What are you at this week?
I'm alongside Adrian Durham at Brighton Leeds tomorrow.
OK, good stuff.
Kick-off.
That'll be a good game.
Enjoy it. And thank you, Stan. We'll catch up with you next week.
Up the Villa.
There we go. It's Liverpool Villa, as we said, live on talkSPORT exclusively at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Still to come. Andy's going to have some more news and nonsense for us. We'll have Todd Macklin. It's a really busy weekend in the world of American sport, and we'll chat about that. And we'll have the clips of the week. Plus, we'll hear from the gaffers ahead of all the games this weekend. That's all to come.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your latest sport headlines, I'm Matt Hutchinson. Good afternoon. We're going to start with Arne Slot, who's backing his attacking options to dig Liverpool out of their current rut.
The thing that gives me the most confidence is the quality of the players we are having and the amount of chances these players are still creating. This will eventually always lead to these players scoring more goals than we've done till now.
Tomorrow night, his side are trying to avoid losing 5 league games on the bounce for the first time since 1953. You can hear their clash with Villa live and exclusively right here on talkSPORT. Elsewhere this afternoon, we're told Joshua Zirkzee could be off to Roma. talkSPORT understands initial loan talks have taken place as the Dutchman looks to improve his World Cup hopes. Some bad news for Arsenal fans. William Saliba is still a doubt for their trip to Burnley tomorrow. Meanwhile, down in East London, the FA has given a warning to Lucas Paquetá. He was cleared of spot fixing back in July, but has now been put on the naughty step for not fully complying with that investigation. And John Terry's been in touch after Jamie O'Hara said Spurs were bigger than Chelsea globally.
What on earth is he on about this morning, O'Hara? Even using those two words together, Spurs and globally, should never be in the same sentence ever again. Mate, they're still doing their pre-season tours around North London. Absolutely ridiculous.
And as always, we've got plenty more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
A former sergeant major has been jailed for 6 months for sexually assaulting a teenage soldier who later took her own life. And the official process to remove Andrew's royal titles, including Prince, has now begun. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
We're expecting a band of rain to continue moving eastwards over the next couple of hours, turning dry from the west by tonight.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT, where in the final hour of the show, as always, Tom Macklin joins us. Plenty going on in the worlds of American football, baseball, which is reaching the end of the season, could even be tonight, and indeed basketball, the good and bad of what's going on in the NBA at the moment. So Todd will join us to cover all that. We'll hear from the managers who have been chatting to the press today, all the latest on injuries and other matters besides. We'll hear from the managers, and we'll have some clips of the week for you as well. That is all to come. Andy, you have an extensive list of bits and pieces that you cut out of the papers.
Before I get to those,
yes,
I've been thinking of entering Mastermind, taking part in the series. So I've been testing myself.
Are you joking?
No.
Have you applied?
Well, I haven't yet, but on Monday I did I thought I'd do the general knowledge with the other contestants, and I scored 9, 9 and 9, which is pretty good.
It wasn't a celebrity one, was it?
No, it was the ordinary one, but then I got 4 in the last. They must have got tired.
Okay.
The questions are very variable, but then I did get a couple.
Have you got any of the questions there that were set?
No.
You got 9?
9.
That's pretty good.
Oh, it's pretty good.
I mean, we did our little section back in the day on. We were trying to find you a specialist subject. What do you think it would be?
Pasta shapes was my best one.
They're not going to let you go on with pasta shapes, are they?
Yeah, I'd like to. Clive, tell us about that. The flour-based, etc. Yeah,
because they must have some sort of selection process based on how interesting the specialists are.
Oh, yeah,
not the celebrity ones who can do like one episode of Friends. That's not Mastermind, is it? That's watching one episode of Friends.
No good.
But if it's there must be subjects that are interesting.
Anyway, this week's subjects included Richard Nixon.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the 37th President of the United States and one of the most controversial figures in recent political history.
Yeah.
Not Nixon plumbing and heating of Denby, then.
No, not them. That's right. Yeah, yes.
And Nirvana.
Who's Nirvana?
Nirvana.
The band.
Yeah, Nirvana.
Nirvana, are you Mark Lawrenson?
At the Merman.
Yes.
Nirvana. The hugely successful American rock band, which would have been enough,
yeah,
formed in Washington State in 1989 by Kurt Cobain and Chris Novoselic, which I thought was a bit over the top.
Yeah.
Not Nirvana, the
yes,
Canadian manufacturers of high-efficiency swimming pool air source heat pumps.
No mention for Dave Grohl then.
No. Marvellous.
Okay, so are you going to reply?
No. Well, I could do. I'll give it a go.
It's an Andy on Mastermind.
I'm never going to be on the celebrity one, am I?
No,
I'm not big enough.
I mean, really,
not big enough.
There'll be a bit of barrel scraping going on if you're going to make a celebrity anything. Let's be honest.
That's very, very true.
Very last minute call. Next time, if you're ever on a celebrity TV show, it will be. When do you want me to do it? 2 hours. It'll be one of those where they just send a car for you. You have to do it cold.
And
so anyway, Andy,
I enjoyed this finally before we get into the list.
Yeah.
Where is it? Oh, yeah, this letter. From Chris White, he wrote to the Sun this morning.
Okay, not the old Leeds defender.
I don't think it is.
Is it with a Y?
No, not
okay,
really.
Fair enough.
From Littlehampton, in West Sussex. I know. I can't read social media posts without someone ending it with the word "bosh." Why? This is the UK now. We're done. I think, what are you talking about? I mean, that's right. Everyone by Thomas Skinner. He's the only person that says "bosh" after everything. Are these people funny? Aren't they funny? I know I've got funny ideas about what annoys me, but I wouldn't get annoyed
you
about
have.
that.
Well, blimey.
All right, it's gone up to 200. Give me a number from 1 to 200.
200.
200.
You've got 200 press cuttings.
Yeah, well, you know. I haven't got rid of them all yet. Number 200.
Yes, what is
it?
it?
It was actually from this week. It
Oh,
was,
I'm guessing that, yeah.
It was the trip that Truro City FC fans.
Yeah, Gateshead.
Yeah, 914-mile round trip. You have to admire people who do that, really.
You do.
I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't open your curtains to watch Chelsea most weeks, would you?
Definitely not tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
I just think you've been talking yourselves down. Chelsea's record at Spurs is ridiculously good. Why do you think it's going to change tomorrow?
Because I think it's a bit like 2 years ago when we went there and lost 2-0. We're in a kind of, it's just not quite happening. The other night I was thinking, I don't really care about the result. It's the Carabao Cup. We're not going to win it, whatever happens. But I was thinking, what I do worry about is the mentality of the team. They're so fragile, and they concede, they're fragile. When they have to face a set play, they're fragile. All these sending offs, that was just, none of it's helpful. And it reminds me, I tell you what it reminds me of, which is actually quite a positive. It reminds me of Arsenal when Arteta first went there. Do you remember they used to get a lot of red cards when they were a very young team? I think it's an element of that involved as well. So they have to learn.
So you're playing the long game.
I'm going to have to. Anyway, go on.
We're not really at it from an attacking point of view. Unless it all clicks tomorrow, I can just see it being a draw. Could see it being 1-1.
Maybe. I just think, Van der Ven from set plays, I think it's going to be very...
Yeah, it seems that Romero's fit. Whether he's fit to start, I don't know. And Danso's been doing well. Danso's throws are better than Bergvall's. So if he's not there, that's one of the weapons that Tottenham have been...
Managers don't normally, if there's someone's on the verge of being fit, or, they don't... and the other blokes played well, they don't normally put them in, but we'll see.
He's the captain. He's a very important player, and his distribution is better than Danso, so he could be pretty key. But anyway, we shall see.
It would help if Caicedo was fully fit, but he's not. And the same with João Pedro. That's the problem with Chelsea. You've got too many players not fit or half fit. Anyway, what do you want?
I'll do one more, then we'll do our bet builder.
Okay.
I'll keep you on the same page. 196.
196?
196.
On the page before.
Oh, okay, wow.
196.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This bloke wrote to the Star. Champions League highlights. Who in the hell cut Mark Chapman's hair? The council? What does that even mean?
It's ridiculous. That's very unkind. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
It's really odd.
Why do they publish that?
I've no idea. Absolutely ridiculous. There's nothing wrong with his hair at all.
There we are. Andy Jacobs.
Defending Mark Chapman's hair.
The haircuts of Mark Chapman could be your specialist subject on Master.
That'd be good.
Anyway, it's time. It's time now for this.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's our bet builder with our friends at Paddy Power. We welcome Ben Steele. Going to be looking forward to tomorrow evening in the Premier League, live on talkSPORT. Liverpool take on Villa. Good afternoon, Ben.
Afternoon. How are we doing?
Yeah, we're not too bad. Having a bit of a phony war around Spurs-Chelsea, but we do that all the time. So how does the bet builder work, Ben?
So it's the five. We've got 5 selections. There's one each from the three of us, one from your producer rather than your friend between you in the studio there, and then one finally, which is the most popular backed bet by Paddy's punters so far.
So I'll kick us off. I do see both teams scoring the way things are currently going. So I imagine this is a fairly popular one, is it?
It is, yeah. Look, I was listening just before, so I think you've kind of given away what Andy's pick is as well, so we can go into that as well. You've got both teams to score, which, as you may have noticed, Liverpool seem to be a lot of goals in their games. That would have clicked in all of Liverpool's last 5 league games. Also in 4 of Villa's last 5, their only clean sheet was last week against Man City, and obviously, was it Haaland had a goal disallowed quite late on? I think there was offside in the build-up, so it's not like they were really keeping them at bay there. But yes, a lot of goals going around, and as I say, Andy, he's already picked Villa because he's looking for the points in your game there.
That's right. Well, I just think they're in better form than Liverpool, and when you're in bad form and when your confidence is low, if the other team score and you're at home, it can turn, and you could see that happening.
It's going to be a bit of nerves. I didn't realise that it goes.
Look, I wouldn't be massively surprised at any of the 3 results, but
the idea of a record that goes back to the 50s, I had no idea until he said that. It's quite a shocker. But anyway, Andy's gone for the Villa win. Has this been popular?
It's relatively popular. There's a few more people back in Liverpool at the moment. Villa are out at 4-1, so fairly popular. Fairly sort of big price there, particularly in this bet build. The last team that last English team, that Liverpool beat was actually Southampton in the League Cup, which is over a month ago now, so it's a fairly long time. I saw somewhere as well, I don't know how accurate it is, so don't quote me on it, but I think the last time Liverpool lost this many games in a row to English teams, they actually went down. So presumably Slot's sort of looking on the relegation battle, is he?
That's not good.
Our producer, Georgia, has gone for Ekatike to have 2+ shots on target. Stan Collymore was talking him up earlier on. So
that's quite a lot.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah, so he's in a 15-8 to have those 2 shots on target. I think he's been a little bit kind of symptomatic of what Liverpool have been. He started so well, has gone off the boil a little bit, but it has not really stopped him from having a shot at goal. When Isak didn't play last week against Brentford, he had 4 shots in the game. Unfortunately, none of them were on target, so hopefully he's got his rangefinder in, and that can help us get a win for that one.
You know, when they won those first 5 games, Liverpool, they weren't convincing.
No, that is very true.
It's not been right all season.
Yeah, a lot of late goals, wasn't it, in those games?
A popular bet with the Paddy punters, and they're sticking by their man, even if a lot of people aren't. Mo Salah to score or assist any time.
Yes, I think they might be looking at the games from last season when Salah actually had a goal and an assist in both games against Villa. So it might be just a little bit of hoping that he's found a guy against his favourite opponent. He only has to do one of those for that to be a winning pick in this bet bill this time, though.
Yeah. And your selection, Ben?
So I picked Matty Cash to commit 1 or more foul. He's kind of Mr. Consistent for Villa over the last few weeks. Obviously got the winner last week, but the more interesting thing for me that he's had exactly 1 foul in each of his last 6 games. So I'm sort of back in the form there. Hopefully that he'll pick up another one. I guess what he'll be marking off on the right, so I guess Gakpo on the left there for Liverpool. So a little bit of a battle there. I think they go through Gakpo quite a lot attacking wise. So Cash will be in for a busy old day.
Well, let's hope he's not out for 6 months. He normally saves that for Spurs, but there we are. Not that I'm bitter. So what are we looking at collectively there then, Ben?
Yeah, so those 5 there, which I'll just remind you of, which is Villa to win, both teams to score, Ekatike 2 shots on target, Salah goal or assist, and Matty Cash 1 foul. That comes in at 54-1.
Ooh, wow.
So quite a lot of the heavy lifting that's been deen by that Villa 4-1 pick from Andy.
No,
but
I'm sure I've messed it up.
Hey, look, we won't talk about how you're doing in that predictions game there. But as I say, that will come in at £550, including stake, if we have been lucky enough to have a winner, which we'll be donating to the Attitude Foundation. Just a quick reminder for you there that all of the player selections are covered by Paddy's Super Sub. So if any, or in fact all of Cash, Ekatike and Salah come off, your bet will roll over onto the player who comes on to replace them there.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ben. Enjoy the game.
No problem. You too, lads. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Ben's still there from Paddy Power. That's Paddy's bet builder for today. Minimum odds 1 to 5 per leg. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Paddy Power on talkSPORT. With Paddy's Super Sub, your new bet rolls over to the new player coming on. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Tom Macklin joins us in a few moments' time. We'll enter the world of American sport. Lots going on at the moment, good and bad. Of course, we're here, as always, with our very good friends at Toolstation. Get winter ready with heating and insulation essentials. Next stop, Toolstation.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Time to talk American sports as always with Todd Macklin. Good afternoon, Todd.
Hi, boys.
Well, Todd, we like to look back on the Thursday night game in the NFL. It was a win for the Ravens against the Dolphins, pretty convincing, 28-6. Lamar Jackson, their star quarterback, was back after injury. And in the subsequent time he'd been off, he insisted, I think, that in the locker room at the Ravens, they got rid of the ping pong table and tellies and other distractions, and it seems to have paid off.
Paul, I do love that when you're losing, those things are bad distractions, right? But if you're winning, they're good distractions. Listen, I think the Ravens' 1 win and 5 losses start had less to do with ping pong and TV and more to do with their bad defense and Lamar Jackson's injury. He looked a little rusty in that first quarter last night, but then settled in and was back to being Lamar Jackson, one of the best players in the NFL, 4 touchdown passes. And here's what Baltimore is trying to do. So since 1933, there have been, I think the number is 358 teams have started the season like the Ravens did with 1 win and 5 losses, or 0 wins and 6 losses. Only 4 of those 358 teams have made the playoffs. So 1.1% have made the playoffs. And now Baltimore's won 2 straight games, and they think they can be part of those 1%ers and go on and make the playoffs.
Wow, that would be amazing. Now, Harry Kane's been in the news around the NFL again. He's often talked about maybe wanting to be a kicker. He loves the game. He's big mates with Tom Brady. Now, Dustin Colquitt, who won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs, has said, I'll train Harry. He was a bit of a closet soccer fan, so he said,
He just needs to do that penalty he did against France.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
He will be fine. But, I mean, look, we've talked about this before. Mick Luckhurst all those years ago made it work, but very few Brits have.
John Smith.
Yeah, Clive Allen had a go. I think he did 1 kick, came on, did 1 kick, didn't put it over and got off the field again. So, look, I mean, what are the chances, would you say, of this happening at any point, Todd?
Less than 1%. Remember we just talked about 1%? I would say less than. It's hard. Yeah. It's really hard to be a successful kicker in the NFL. These guys are getting replaced. You miss a couple kicks, couple big kicks in a row, you're replaced. It's hard. These guys are really good. Even the bad ones, you're still making kind of 85% of your kicks. But as I said, you miss that 1 or 2 in key situations, you're gone. So listen, Harry Kane, obviously one of the best footballers of our generation. But I know he's into golf, right? I think he probably has a better chance at making the senior golf tour than he does at being a kicker in the NFL.
Fair enough. You must be beside yourself with excitement today.
Big day in Toronto.
Huge, isn't it?
It's Game 6 of the World Series, the final of Major League Baseball, if you will. They're back in Toronto tonight. The Blue Jays, this is the team that will not give up. They've been down quite a few times in the build-up to this World Series, and they've bounced back, and they've done it here as well, against the odds, against the big favourites, the
In
LA
Los
Dodgers.
Angeles, yeah.
And so they've in the next 2 games in Toronto, Todd.
Yeah, and the Jays are hoping they need just one of them, guys, and that game would be tonight. You're so right. I mean, they are the comeback kids. I think they've had 59 comeback wins in regular season and postseason combined this year. Yeah, and again, the uniqueness of the Blue Jays is, yes, they are playing in Toronto, but they are Canada's only team in Major League Baseball. So you don't have just the city of Toronto holding its breath as we lead up to first pitch tonight for Game 6 of the World Series. You have an entire country of some 40 million people waiting with bated breath for the game tonight. Yeah, it's going to be incredible, the atmosphere at the Rogers Centre tonight for Game 6.
Especially with the feeling going on politically between Canada and...
Well, I'm just wondering if it's traditional that the winners get invited to the White House. So I wonder if they did win, would they be invited to the White House? And would they go, Todd?
All stuff, guys, that I hope they have to figure out.
Yeah.
That's all they want, right? And I know it's a cliche, but this is the toughest game to win. It's always the clinching game, and I don't care in whatever the series, right? And baseball and basketball and ice hockey, they all have series, right, in their playoffs and a series of series to decide their champions. And this is always the one. That last one to clinch it is always the toughest. And baseball, that's 27 outs. And I can tell you, players and fans alike, you start the countdown of the 27 outs. So if the Jays can somehow get a lead, then you just count down the outs till they hope they're the World Series champions again.
They want to start like they did the other night when they scored.
Oh,
he scored
absolutely.
off the first pitch, and then did they score off the second pitch? They were 2-0 up.
Third pitch. So it was the first and the third pitch they hit home runs off of. Now it's different now with the games in Toronto. The Dodgers will be batting first.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're so right, Andy. The Jays just want to try and get a lead, and then hopefully their bullpen holds solid throughout the whole 27 outs of the game.
Now, we talked last week about this major scandal. I'm sure a lot of the listeners have seen it. It's sort of transcended just chats about American sports. This is the kind of mafia involvement in an NBA gambling scandal, and the insider trading aspect, which is very worrying for these prop bets, where you can have specific bets on teams coming up, not just on the outcome of the game. So the accusation is that certain big names from the world of the NBA, and they've denied this, gave inside information to people, and they benefited from it along the way. The players that were missing for games, which meant that they could bet big on the other teams.
It's so mad when you think, I mean, it's not proven or anything, but they all get paid an absolute fortune. Why would they even need to do this?
The biggest issue here, of course, Adam Silver, the commissioner, has been talking about it, saying how upset they are by it all. And it is embarrassing because, like all US sports, because sports gambling has changed in the States, so they'll make up of it in the last few years. They all take millions of dollars in sponsorship from the gambling companies, which complicates it, doesn't it?
100% it does. And Andy asked a great question, right? The average salary is in the millions, especially in the NBA. Their salaries have just skyrocketed into the millions, and that's the lowest amount. And people have said, yes, they are making millions, but you just don't know the trouble some individuals get in financially, right? So many people we've heard over the years that have blown through millions and even hundreds of millions of dollars that they made over the years. So you just don't know the kind of situations that people get themselves into. And Paul, to your point about, it's tough so these leagues have gone from gambling being the devil, right? For decades upon decades, gambling was illegal. Remember, Pete Rose didn't get into the Hall of Fame initially, right? Because he bet on baseball. All these leagues where gambling is evil and we want to get as far away from it as we can. And then, as you correctly point out, Paul, they found out they could make a lot of money from these gambling places, and they kind of let them in. So you've gone a complete 180. So there's no way that everyone's going to be on board with it. I get it. The leagues love it because of the money, but the players aren't going to look at it the same way. And it's going to be this seamless transition from, the evil to now it's a great thing. And now this is that, that transition. And people have pointed out there's a betting scandal out there. One of these leagues has a giant betting scandal that we don't know of yet, that we're going to find out about pretty soon.
Yeah. And let's just finish with the good of the NBA. Victor Wembanyama, we mentioned him last week, of San Antonio Spurs, playing brilliantly at the moment. He's had another great week, and he's been talking about what he did during his downtime. He had a DVT issue, and he wasn't playing for months. But he used his time wisely, getting fitter, getting mentally sharper. He even went to China and spent some time in a Shaolin temple working with the monks there, training. And strangely, at 21, he's had a growth spurt. He's put a couple of inches. He's getting taller, Todd. I think they reckon some people think he's 7'7" now.
That has been the biggest news, Paul. You're right. In the NBA season, is how the heck did this guy grow 2 inches in the off season, right? Like, you don't do that in your 20s, but somehow, some way, he's taller, and guys, he's better, which is crazy as well. Yeah, him and the Spurs are off to a perfect start to the season.
Fantastic. Enjoy the game tonight, Todd. Thanks very much.
Good luck.
Thanks, boys.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll keep you in touch with that one, with the overnight show. It's Fletch tonight, I guess, isn't it? Fletch will keep an eye on that. Blue Jays against LA Dodgers tonight in what could be the final game of the World Series. Clips of the week coming up very, very shortly.
Arne Slot says his only focus is getting back to winning ways for Liverpool and is batted back any suggestions of a new deal.
This is the last question I was expecting. I think my focus should be completely on getting Liverpool back on winning ways.
And despite it being against his beliefs, Slot would tweak his playing style to get results.
I've won games in the past, so we're talking about City away. It was necessary to play it over there like that in the second half. So I would be more than open to adapt in certain situations.
The Liverpool boss has also confirmed Alisson and Isak are still out injured, but Ryan Gravenberch is being assessed today. They host Villa tomorrow night live on talkSPORT, with the champions hoping to avoid a 5th league defeat on the spin. Elsewhere, the FA has warned Lucas Paquetá. The West Ham midfielder was cleared of 4 spot-fixing charges back in July. He's now escaped with a slap on the wrist for not fully complying with that investigation. And John Terry has been in touch after Jamie O'Hara said Spurs were bigger than Chelsea globally.
What on earth is he on about this morning, O'Hara? Even using those 2 words together, Spurs and globally, should never be in the same sentence ever again. Absolutely ridiculous.
And there's plenty more at talksport.com.
Still to come, we're going to hear from the managers at all the weekend's big games. We got football for you this evening. Wrexham versus High Flying Cov. That one's on talkSPORT 2 exclusively. But now it is time for the Clips of the Week with Toolstation.
Clips of the Week on talkSPORT with Toolstation. Next stop, Toolstation.
talkSPORT Clips of the Week. Yeah, here we go, fresh batch for you, and we're going to kick off with Alan Brazil. It's not an Alan heavy week, but we will kick off with Alan Brazil. Yeah, I think he was. We've even found a clip when he wasn't here. On breakfast, talking cricket.
Crikey, who'd have thought that at the start of the season? Right, you've just heard Jeffrey. Joffrey.
Beautiful.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Joffrey.
Staying with breakfast, this was Jamie O'Hara conducting a quiz.
What about the man who guided Spain to their first ever World Cup, Vincent Del Bosque, but finally had to throw in this fictional character?
I don't think Jamie is fictional. No. I've seen him in the flesh. He definitely does exist.
He does exist.
He's not AI. Charlie Adam now, chatting about one of his former clubs.
There's a lot of things going into the top players are not playing to the level that are expected and what they're capable of. So there's a lot of different parts of what's going on at Liverpool at the moment.
From fart parts?
Part.
Yeah, part from EastEnders. Yeah. So, it is you, Andy, isn't it? Yeah.
It is, and here's Paul Ross on the midweek overnight show reflecting on the football.
Big night of cricket yesterday morning, but now we're back with 2 days of Carabao Cup action to consider. Liverpool lose 3-0 at home to Poland. Has Slot lost the plot?
Well, I think you might have done. Playing Poland.
Why are they playing Poland? I mean, it's about 3 a.m. Give the bloke a chance, really. It can't be easy. Imagine what you'd be like at 3 a.m. on air.
Yeah, terrible.
Let's get a goal up.
Too good at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, let's be honest.
That is very true.
Yeah, go on.
Let's get a goal update now, courtesy of Adrian Durham, yes.
Goal at the MKM, Chris Hull. It's a goal for Charlton. Hull 1, Charlton 0.
Yeah, who scored the goal? And why send Chris Hull to Hull? It's very confusing.
I know.
Is that a new policy? Have we got Alan Emirates going to the Emirates tomorrow?
Right, yeah.
And to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Hill Dickinson.
Anfield.
John Hill Dickinson.
Oh,
he could go to Everton for us. That's very true.
Anyway, it was Hull that scored, and here's Adrian with that, plus a surprising couple of results.
Championship, Blackburn 1, Southampton 1, Bristol City 1 up, Derby 1 up, Hull City 1 up, Wrexham lead at Middlesbrough 1-0, Middlesbrough lead Leicester 1-0.
I mean, they're playing 2 games.
I know, it's back to back. It's
tough on the manager, that, isn't it, really? Oh, blimey.
They're very inconsistent, aren't they? Winning one.
Yeah, winning one game. That's the trouble with Borough at the moment. On the same day, they can win and lose a game. A bit of confusion over the scorelines there. Look, it happens. As Graham Beecroft proved. Strap yourselves in. Many years ago.
OK, Mansfield 1, Northampton 0 in that other player. Sorry, Mansfield 0, Northampton 1. Mansfield 0, Northampton 1. Day getting the goal after 40 minutes play. Northampton 0, Mansfield 1. I beg your pardon. Let me get it right. Northampton 0, Mansfield 1 in that other playoff semi-final which is going on today. That's the Division 3 playoff semi-final. So it's Mansfield 0, Northampton. Sorry, it's Northampton 0, Mansfield 1. Let me get it absolutely right in that other playoff semi-final which is going on today.
No, still don't know.
Still don't really
Only
know.
Jeff Peters is the only person that knows.
He always tells us when that happens. What's next, Andy?
It's boxer Fabio Wardley chatting to Gabby Agbon-Lahore down the line after his big win over Joseph Parker, eyeing a match-up with one of the greats.
Look, one way or another, Usyk will know he's been in the fight.
I think I can see a reflection there, Fabio. If you're looking at Usyk's bits.
You don't want to be looking at Usyk's bits on the internet, do you?
Not really, no.
Although that would give you some sort of psychological advantage, I would imagine.
Hey, Usyk, I've seen your bits.
Yes.
Put him off a bit of trash.
I think it probably would. Newsreader Nick Ellaby now getting the considered opinion of one of our top presenters and pundits.
The big question this morning, though, is can Hearts break a 40-year Old Firm stranglehold and win the Scottish Premiership? Here's Rangers legend Ali McCoist.
Yes. Thank you, Ali. That wasn't the answer I was expecting.
No.
Marvellous.
Here's Martin Keown now discussing one of Arsenal's new defensive signings.
They're so clinical in the transfer market, major changes, 5 or 6 major changes. Mascara at the back, same DNA as what was before.
Oh, Mascara at the back.
Yeah.
That's when they talk about the makeup of the back four, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, Gabriel likes a bit of eyeliner. It's a good look, isn't it?
Very nice.
This is Alex Crook ahead of Everton versus Spurs last Sunday.
I've been giving him the big build-up to anyone I've been speaking to today. I've just got a feeling that Jack Grealish is going to take the game by the scruff of the horns and do something quite special.
He didn't really take the game by the scruff of the horns. He didn't take the ball by the neck either.
No,
really.
he didn't.
Overall, wasn't his day.
It wasn't.
So, Andy.
Yes, anyway, let's get the news now.
That's it.
A very good afternoon. You're listening to talkSPORT. Here with the news headlines, I'm Amelia Beltrao. 1 in, 1 out, and 1 back in again.
What was that story about?
A hokey-cokey.
I dread to think.
A revival.
Just time for a quick quiz on Drive with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy.
You know the animal that looks like a horse with stripes on, black and white stripes, that animal?
Donkey.
Yeah, that's it, donkey. Yeah, black and white stripes, looks like a horse, donkey.
Brilliant.
And finally, Andy.
And finally, it's breakfast. Jeff Stelling and Ali McCoist fanboying over 80s pop sensations Duran Duran.
But what a band! What a band! They're one of my wife's favourite bands as well, and great band. She's just out of bed, so she's probably listening.
Well, I'm what.
Wow! What a way for Jeff to find out.
I don't know if they were on screen.
She's probably gone downstairs to make Ali a cup of tea. It's a shocker, isn't it?
What's shocking?
I hope Jeff knew. It seems wrong. Anyway, of course not. There we are. That was the clips of the week. You should thank Gary from Gateshead, Andrew Moran, it's Glyn Barrington, Craig Peter Dodd, Johnsy, was that Jonesy? Steve Langdon, Stu Potts, Michael Fawcett, Andrew West, Craig Mitchell, Dave Wright and Neil Scully. All suggested clips that were played this week.
Amazingly, all real people.
It looks like it, yeah. So if you hear a clip on TalkSport over the next 7 days, please do send it in to us, as always, to talksport.com/H&J. Text to 81089, tweet to TSH&J. As always, we just need a day and a time when you heard the clip go out on TalkSport, one of our sister stations, and we can then hopefully narrow it down, have a listen back, and if it's played, you'll get a credit. The H&J Clips of the Week podcast is available in the next half hour, as is the H&J Daily with some of the best bits of this afternoon's show. We had a very interesting chat with one of the top boxing announcers who was a former wrestler, so he had quite the backstory. So that's just some of the things you can hear on the H&J Daily podcast if you missed the start of the show. That was the Clips of the Week with Tool Station. Still to come, we are going to hear from the gaffers, and Jeff Peters confirms Northampton 0, Mansfield 1 was indeed the score. No, hang on, he says. Clips of the Week there with Tool Station.
Clips of the Week on talkSPORT with Tool Station. Next stop, Tool Station.
And welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
We finish today then hearing from the managers ahead of all the big games this weekend. As we've been telling you, we bring you Liverpool versus Aston Villa. Big game tomorrow night at Anfield, and Arne Slot, the Liverpool manager, has been chatting and laughing indeed and expressing surprise when asked if he was close to being offered a new contract, especially given the team's poor run of form.
This is the last question I was I was expecting. I think my focus should be completely on getting Liverpool back on winning ways, and that's my first answer. And the second answer is that contract talks, if they are even there, are never. We never spoke about this here. But let us first start to win again. That's where my main focus is on.
It's a bit scurrilous, isn't it, to ask him about a new contract when they've lost 5 in a row?
Yeah, a bit of a wind-up, I think. So Chelsea next, Andy. Go to Tottenham tomorrow afternoon.
Yes. Let's hear from Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca after Liam Delap picked up Chelsea's 5th red card of the season so far. See if he thinks Chelsea have a disciplinary problem.
Again, some of the red card we could avoid. Some of the red card is we cannot avoid.
What's your take on it, Andy?
Well, he's right. I mean, you know, it's difficult when a player's through on goal like they were in those two. Instinctively, you try and stop them, and the tackles weren't just, you know, they were a bit.
The daft ones annoy you, don't they?
Yeah, it's the Gusto, Delap, and then his own one. Well, look, it's an incredibly exciting moment.
Yeah,
he lost his head in the moment. That wasn't worth a red card for me, but there you go.
We'll move on then, shall we? Arsenal. They face Burnley this weekend, and the Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta expressed how quickly things can change in the Premier League.
It's a big opportunity what we have ahead of us, but we have to continue with that level of consistency, and we know how difficult that is. And tomorrow is going to be an extremely tough match for us, and we're going to have to again hit those performance levels to end the game.
Nah, they'll win easily.
You would fancy them at Burnley, wouldn't you? Although, you know, it probably might not be a goal fest. They've been effective, haven't they, Arsenal?
That's all they need, one. You can't see Burnley scoring, so all they need to do is score once and they'll win the game.
Yeah, quite possibly.
What a handy way of winning the title, really.
Yeah.
It's worked in the past.
Certainly has.
Spurs gaffer Thomas Frank has been speaking ahead of his side's game against Chelsea tomorrow evening and gave us his thoughts on the fixture schedule.
I think definitely we need to look into the calendar and the amount of games for the players. No doubt about that. That is, we say it's impossible to play 60 games, 90 minutes, high intensity. So you need to find a balance of squad rotation and where do you pick your chips, put your chips in terms of where do you want to focus, because you can put yourself in between two chairs. But I think we need to look into it.
We were talking to Mark Priestley earlier on, who's a Manchester United fan. We never got around to talking about football. We were talking F1. But you were making the point that just playing once a week does make a huge difference.
Massive difference. You know, it's a big.
I mean, they'd rather not be playing once.
No, but it's a big advantage to United. That you know, it gives him a chance to work with them, gives players a chance to rest. No, it's an advantage. We all know that.
Crystal Palace.
I mean, look how many games they've got with a small squad. Not easy.
They're at home to Brentford. He was also chatting about fixture congestion, shared his frustration with the options available for his side's Carabao Cup quarter-final against Arsenal.
When I heard it the first time yesterday, I couldn't even believe it, that they are considering this. But I'm really upset because I spoke about this issue 3 months ago when I looked at the schedule. So then in the summer, in the off-season, there are people who have to work on the schedule. And I would really prefer if they talk together. Yeah? And because you have international games, you have the 2 cup competitions, and you have the Premier League games. So it would be nice if UEFA, Premier League, FA and EFL talk together, because it's not so surprising that this can happen, because this would be, again, it's irresponsible playing Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah,
I mean,
hard.
The only way it ever changes is the product starts. You know, if you keep going to games and all the big players that you're paying huge amounts of money to watch aren't there, and they've got sort of inferior standings with respect, then it damages the product, and they sit up and take notice. But you don't sense they're going to otherwise.
Bigger squad's not necessarily the answer, because it's always the same thing. It's key players.
Yeah.
You get certain players get injured, you think, all right, I'm sorry, it's sad for him or something. But it's when your key players get injured, then you've got a problem.
Well, I mean, you know,
there's only so many of those you can have.
Yeah, but I mean, Arsenal have managed this season to have good quality backups. That does allow them to rotate, and you don't really see the join. And there's very few teams that can do that.
They just, you know, they've been building to this for a long time, and they are clearly the best team in the league.
So, West Ham entertain Newcastle, as I believe they say in the world of football. 2:00 Sunday afternoon. And Nuno Espirito Santo, who's looked a bit rabbit in the headlights recently, a man who normally quite assured, seems to be scratching his head a bit. They said, he says he's counting on the fans, hopefully, to get behind the team.
They could do with scoring first, couldn't they?
That would help.
Yeah, it's a reality. It's what it is. It's what it is. We cannot hide ourselves. And again, I said it's our responsibility. I hope it starts in the warm-up, a good warm-up that can connect the people, can connect our fans. And again, the game starts and the fans see the team go. So the environment, the backup, the noise. But it's up to us. It's up to us. That's why we are so committed to start and changing what is being our home front, because we need them. We need to be strong at home, but more than anything, we need to compete. We compete.
Absolutely. It's a two-way street, that. The idea that the fans sort of in a vacuum suddenly just go completely crazy. They will get behind the team, but they need to see quite quickly that the team are at it and they've got something to cheer. I mean, you know.
I hope Max and Charlie have a good warm-up.
Yes, indeed.
It's a very strange thing to say about
get behind the lads in the warm-up, whatever you do.
It does remind me of the time when I went to football for the first time with my late father-in-law, a wonderful man. And he was watching the warm-up, and a keeper made a save. Great save, he shouted out. I was thinking, it's only the kick about.
That's right. They're not started yet. Okay, that's us. Thanks for your company this afternoon throughout the week. We will be back on Monday to reflect on another busy Premier League weekend and all the other stuff that's going on. Enjoy all the sport here on talkSPORT over the weekend. Have a good one. Coming up next, Andy Goldstein, Danny Murphy will drive.